That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Commissioner Cooper, and I hope you're waking up with us today because it's Super Bowl Sunday. We've hit the pinnacle of the sport that we love the most. We're excited to bring you a great Super Bowl special. We're going to give you great ways to eat today, great ways to set up your party. We got DFS lineup, prop bets. We're going to talk about the Eagles, obviously, and the Chiefs, and then we'll break down the big game and give you our picks for today. Hope you're ready because it's time for the Super Bowl special. Let's get it. All right, let's get this puppy started. And we got our host for today, our co-host for today. Let's go around the room. First, we'll welcome Chris Anderson from Patriot Sports Radio. Welcome into the studio, my friend, and happy Super Bowl Sunday.
It is time, baby. Been waiting all year for this. I was not waiting for the Chiefs to see another. I really wanted to see the Bills in there, but here we are. We got the boys back. We're ready to cheat Pete, three-peat, whatever you want to call it. But here we go. We got the right refs in there, so let's get our money on red and
see how and our heart's on green, right?
Our heart is on green. Yes, absolutely.
All right, awesome. Let's also welcome in our other co-host for today. It is Brian Snow from Snowman Multimedia. Welcome into the studio, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me this Super Bowl Sunday morning. I'm excited about the game. I'm excited about the food my wife's going to put together, but we're going to have a whole bunch of fun, y'all.
Absolutely. I'm super excited. Let's pay the bills real quick. If you're watching on YouTube, just do us a solid. Hit subscribe. Give us a like. If you're throwing in comments, just as an FYI, most of the segments are pre-taped, so we'll get to your comments once the segment's over, but I'll definitely play them up for you. But go ahead and throw them in there. Little things stopping you from doing it, big things popping for us when you do, so we do appreciate it. Also, if you're looking for some championship bling for your fantasy champion, look no further than Pro-Am Belts. And if you want to play some DFS today, go to Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code TSS. We'll double that deposit up to $100. And later on today, we're going to give you some good tips on how to create a great DFS lineup. Before we begin, let's go around the room real quick. Go to you, Chris, first. Any big plans today? Anything that's going on special for you on this Super Bowl Sunday? Oh, you're on mute, brother.
You're muted, Chris.
Be doing the show right here. Go probably to the neighbors. The whole cul-de-sac will be doing stuff today. We'll be going back and forth. Now, when the game starts, I am a guy that comes home, even if I'm by myself, because I really do like to watch the game. And the Super Bowl seems to get kind of too many people, the kids, women, everybody's involved in this one game. So I'll sneak out and go watch it.
Absolutely. I love that. Listen, stop talking, bro. I'm trying to
Jesus. It's the last game, and then we have the dry season. We got to crawl through the freaking desert to next August. So
absolutely. Now, Brian, I know you got stuff planned that's special, but I also heard from through the grapevine doing a live stream today. So talk about
You're darn right. You're darn right. I am. Pre-game showtime 4:30 will take you up to kickoff, and then when the ball kicks off, I'll have the live play-by-play. And I don't know if she's feeling well enough to do it, but she told me if she's feeling well enough to come on with me, I'll have my wife, Dr. K, with me.
Nice. That's awesome. Where can everybody find that when that gets started?
They can find it in two places: youtube.com/@snowmanmultimedia. And my brand new play-by-play channel, and I would love to get that channel monetized as soon as possible because I'm disabled and that's going to be my income. youtube.com/@snowmansportsnet.
All right, love it. All right, so check our man Snowman out later on today with his live stream of the game. All right, well, let's get things started. We got a big special coming up today. We appreciate you. Before it looks like, all right, we got Andrew LeDuc already. He said, let's get this party started from Divots and Pivots. I'm with you. Let's get it. All right, let's start off today. We're going to talk about, I guess they're the underdog, if you will, today. The Philadelphia Eagles. It's going to be, it's going to be interesting. They got a long show. We're going to talk about their chances to win today. But we brought in some special guests to talk about the game, or talk about the Eagles specifically. Deb Wickus, of course, our Emmy-winning producer from the Blonde Blitz. She's going to break down the Eagles with Eric from the Philly podcast and Don from Drunk on Broad podcast. So let's get to it and talk about those Eagles.
Ride, Eagles, ride on the road to victory. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
The Super Bowl, and I could not be more excited. My special guests today are here to talk all about the season and how the Birds got here. Please welcome Eric from Philly podcast and Don from Drunk on Broad. I love that name. Hi, guys.
Yeah. Hey, how are you? Thank you for having us.
Hi, how are you?
Of course. Thank you for being here. Go Birds.
Go. Oh yeah. Oh, it's go.
Birds.
It's go Birds everywhere, right?
Right.
It's just the generic greeting, right? You're walking into Wawa, you're at the supermarket, you see someone you know, everything is just go Birds. It's just the generic greeting that we're getting this extended use through Super Bowl Sunday, and we're all things go as planned. We'll be doing that right through right into spring training.
Right. And so, what is the vibe like in Philly right now? I'm in New Orleans. So, what's Philly feeling right now? What's the energy like? Talk to me.
I mean, everything's green.
Yeah, he's right. It's all it is. Everything's green. Everybody's upbeat. Everybody's happy. It's a fun time to be here. That's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people obviously cannot wait for this game. 2 years ago, we were in the same spot with Kansas City. It's going to be an amazing revenge game, and I really do think that the Eagles can take this one. The 2 years ago was so close, 35-38. I still think that last penalty blew the game for the Eagles, and hopefully that doesn't happen this season. Let's get started by going back to the end of the last season. I almost hate to do this because I hate to talk about it, but the Birds were 10-1, and then the season just crumbled. They lost to the Bucs in the wild card round, and I feel like all the Eagles fans kind of gave up. We lost Jason Kelce, we lost Fletcher Cox. When this season did you start to get that hope back? Don, we'll start with you.
I mean, listen, when you see the moves that they made and how aggressive they were in the offseason, locking guys up internally, with the long-term extensions, which is a Howie Roseman special.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they make the investment in Saquon Barkley, and
right.
they see his value. They take him away from a division rival. And then
amazing.
You pair him with this offensive line and these offensive weapons, and the one accentuates the other. And you're really seeing the value of Saquon Barkley. And it's a shame because, you're seeing what he could have been his entire career in this one season.
Absolutely.
And that to me is where the mood and the direction of this season really changed to we've been there, right? We've been to the playoffs, right? This is a team that is now making it a regular occurrence to be in the playoffs, to be, in the championship rounds. That this is not about this offseason said to me, this is not about getting to the playoffs. This is about winning Super Bowls. And Saquon Barkley is a guy that, is a guy that has the cachet to be able to put you over the top.
Yep. Eric, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, piggyback off of Don, like of course the big signing, Saquon Barkley, everyone was excited for that. I'm more partial to like our big offseason stuff was like this defense that we're going to
Yep.
see later. Yeah, like this defense that we're going to
Getting
see later
Mitchell was
today.
huge.
Yep, Mitchell, Cooper,
Yep.
Jay, and one move that a lot of people really haven't talked about was, and I think was the biggest offseason signing, was Vic Fangio.
Yes.
I mean, that was huge.
I love
was
that.
huge.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
Kellen Moore too. I feel like both.
Mhm.
I feel I used to cover the Chargers, and when the Eagles signed Kellen Moore, I was very excited. But when I heard Vic Fangio, I was jumping for joy. So
Yeah, I mean, that you could argue that that's where it fell apart last year,
Yeah.
right? When you were relying on an inexperienced play caller and Brian Johnson, and the combination of Sean Desai and Matt Patricia, that to me, they didn't have the coaching leadership to be able to kind of redirect the on-field play. And I think you're seeing a lot of that corrected in this year. You're seeing the leadership of Vic Fangio, right? It was funky at the very beginning, right? They start off the season 2-2. They had the early bye. But it was almost like that was the preseason for them. They got all the kinks worked out. Right. And since that bye, they've lost once. And in that one loss, right, it took, your starting safety to get kicked out, your star quarterback to get injured on the first, essentially in that first quarter, 11 plays in. And, and even with all of that, it still took that Commanders team at home until the last play of the game to win the game. So this team is rolling. They're doing everything that they need to do. And, they really have buttoned up every weakness that they had last year. They've not only buttoned them up, but they've shined a lot of gold onto this defense and this offense. And it's really hard to look up and down the roster and find a weakness.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got the number one offensive line. I think our offense is stellar. Our defense is stellar. Even our special teams is killer. Don, you mentioned those first couple games, they weren't so stellar. What was kind of going through both of your heads when that was going on? And, what were the changes that were made that made the team gel?
I mean, I look at that, right?
Oh,
you start the year in Brazil.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Which was not
you
a great idea.
In Brazil.
Yeah.
And you win that game against a Packers team that at the time was, looking to make their hay and really kind of, play really well in that division. But then you come home, right? You're one play away, right? You throw the swing pass to Saquon Barkley against Atlanta, right? And he drops that pass, and which opens the door for Atlanta to go down and score. You go down and you win a funky game in New Orleans, 15-12, in a game that they looked half asleep for most of the game. And then you go to Tampa, right? And the Tampa game is like obviously the outlier of the entire season, right? They looked lethargic, and they looked like a team that had just been had just played like 3 road games in 2 countries, and they needed that bye week early. Since then, you saw them really do some self-scouting. You saw them the story in Philadelphia in that bye week is that the offensive line really goes in and says to the coaching staff, "Hey, we got this running. We got to lean on this." And since then, you look at since week 6 when they come back against Cleveland, they've turned the ball over 4 times.
Yep.
Since
And
that
not
bye
at all
week.
playoffs.
And they've got 10 takeaways in the playoffs and not a single turnover.
Yep, exactly.
They're taking care of the ball. They're leaning on their offense. They're leaning on their offensive line. They're leaning on their strengths. And they take care of the ball. That's why this team is where they are.
Yeah. Eric, what are your thoughts on when did you think they started to gel?
I think they started to gel in week 7 versus the Giants. I was ecstatic over the way they came out of the gates in week 1 in Brazil. then they lost. Then they lost versus Atlanta, and
Which Atlanta just like crapped out, like completely crapped out at the end there. Like, what happened? They were way too talented of a team to like have the record that they had, and bringing in Michael Penix. But anyway, continue, Eric. Sorry.
Right. No problem. No problem. Yeah. So like with their first 5 games, I was really on the fence about Nick Sirianni.
So,
I really
and that's
was.
going to be my question. Did you guys think Nick was like not the head coach? But go ahead.
If at that point in time, I was like, okay, look, I know this guy's a good coach. He's made the playoffs every year. You know, he's really good. But then, you know, coming out of that epic collapse, and then how they were kind of like erratic. You know, they had the big win this first week of the year. It was 34-29. Then they lose by 1 to Atlanta, New Orleans, and then they got shelled by Tampa Bay. And then they only, you know, and then they come out of the bye week and they win, but they only won by like a few points. And I was like, oh man, is this guy really, you know, does he know what he's doing? Does he have this locker room? Does he have their attention? Are they buying in? Because it just seemed like they were sick, going in and out, like it was going to be one of those up and down seasons.
Yep.
And like I was in New York for that game, like, when Saquon had a day. Let's just say, and
he did,
and
he did it with his former team.
Yeah, and from that point on, I mean, this team just went on a tear, losing like the rest of the way, and watching them gel and watching them play and get better each week as they were going on, watching Jalen get better each week as he was going on, and defense, how they were just dominant. And you know, and that was with losing Brandon Graham, and then late, you know, and I thought, man, like the guys, you know, including even the Kobe Dean, like he took over that defense, like he was the signal caller, and they just got better and better. And I kept saying to partner Chris, I was like, yeah, this team's got something. I was like, they really have something. I said, forget last year. I said, that collapse is gone. I said,
it's gone.
Different.
Yeah. I agree
different.
with you.
Yeah.
When did you guys think like we have a shot at Super Bowl? Like when
I mean, for me, when when we looked at the schedule, right? That 2-game stretch in like the end of November, December, when they go out to LA and they play at Baltimore. Those were games that we were like, ooh, like that could be a place where they could get tripped up. Because they're going to play LA after playing 2 straight division games, right? That game at LA comes after they play at Dallas and they play Washington on a Thursday night. And they go out to LA and they absolutely destroy destroy the Rams.
And it's hard to destroy Puka Nacua, and it's hard to destroy Cooper Kupp. I mein, they're 2 really good players. And we saw the Rams just had some injuries, I feel like. But, you know, we saw the Rams obviously perform better in that playoff game, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But, sure. I agree with you with those 2 games. That was kind of the turning point in my head, too. Yeah.
Like, I mean, and you look at, that game, even that game in LA, that's 37-20. That game's not – that game's not even that close because of there's a bunch of there's a lot of late points scored, but Saquon Barkley runs for 255 yards and then they go the next week and they play at Baltimore, and they battle they battle that Baltimore team and they win, and I was like, okay, now we are like now we can start to because after Baltimore. You can start to see the path to be able to get like the number 1, number 2 seed, be able to get home field advantage in the playoffs. And at that point, then I'm looking, and then they just kept rolling, right? I really truly feel like if Jalen Hurts doesn't get hurt in that Washington game, they were on pace to put up an outcome like we saw in the NFC Championship game.
Eric, when Jalen did get hurt, what went through your mind?
Oh man, when he got hurt, I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Here we go." I said, "Let's see what they got," because stand up for everything every time something happens with the team, and they perform. And I have to admit, I was nervous about Kenny Pickett. I really was.
Coming from the Steelers. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I understood the whole reason for trading for him. Like the cap hit was good. He's a decent backup quarterback. Um, but ended up going out, and then we had Tanner McKee. I said, okay. I said this team's got depth all around. I said we're now at our third. Or I said no, we're now at our third quarterback. I said and this team's it's like it doesn't seem that nothing bothers them.
Yep.
But I agree with Don. Like if Jalen didn't get hurt, they would have that game. Like that was the X factor, him getting hurt, and they literally would have had like the best record ever in their franchise's history. I mean, I think they already they tied.
They already do.
Wins,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
They already do. Yeah.
So
They beat it this year.
yeah. But yeah, it was. I got nervous. I really did. I'm not gonna lie. I got nervous, and everybody should get nervous if their back gets hurt and they leave a game. They should. If people say they don't, then that's just fans pumping their chest. That's all it is.
Right. And I really think both, Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee stepped up to the plate there. And that's kind of when I knew. I was like, when we won those games, I was like, okay, we have a solid team. Like this, we can actually win Super Bowl here. Like we have got two great backups. Jalen's hurt, and obviously now Jalen's back. And for the playoffs, we needed Jalen, obviously. But yeah, what was your favorite moment or favorite play from the season?
I mean, is it too generic to say that when Saquon Barkley jumps backwards over somebody in the middle of a run? Like I feel like that's like. And the hard part is that in that game there are a couple of other plays, right? There's the Devontae Smith catch in the back of the end zone. You have the Nakobe Dean interception to kind of seal the game. Yep. Jalen Carter has a number of games that where he essentially just kind of wrecks the offense. But
stacking Stafford, I feel Carter won that game for the Rams for the playoff game.
He single-handedly takes care of that game.
Yeah.
But it's hard to not look at Saquon Barkley, right? Saquon Barkley's got 7 rushes, season and postseason, 7 rushes of 60 plus yards or more. Like that's absurd. Yeah. He's doing that against other guys that are also professional, that are also getting paid. Right. It's really to see the pairing of his talents with an offensive line that is this talented is truly a match made in heaven. Eric, what about you?
Yeah, that play is out. Yeah. That was a moment that everybody said, I've never seen that before. What just happened? That was one of those things where you wanted to rewind real life and watch it again.
I think I did, to be honest. I think I watched it probably 10 times when it happened.
Well, I was watching the game and the drink that was in my hand, I was walking past the TV real fast and I was like, holy yes. And I put my hands up and my soda just fell and the wife yelled and God. But that play, not only was it great to see that happen because no one's ever seen it before, but that seemed to give that team like the reactions that you saw from all the videos on the sideline with all the players, like what just happened, and hearing the call on the radio from Mike. I've never seen that before in all my years of playing football. I've never seen anything like that. And it was something. It was just something to see. Like that was up for me. I said, okay, this team's on to something. And then the following week playing Baltimore, I said, that's legit me, the Super Bowl contender. We're playing them. If we beat them, and here we are, we have our shot.
Yeah, Absolutely. How about the and I agree with you guys that move was definitely the best moment of the season for me too. And I love the reactions of the guys on the sideline and just to see all those professional football players on both sides of the field. Like it wasn't just
True.
the Eagles reacting. The other team was like, what? So yeah, that was definitely a special moment. I think we all have a shirt. I definitely have a shirt. But how about the best game of the year? Eric, what was your favorite game?
Quite honestly, for me, and this is going to sound like really generic, but for me, the best game of the year was when we just destroyed the Cowboys. That
Yeah.
literally, I mean, I know we didn't have, there was no Dak Prescott. I know that they had their injuries, but the best part of that, it wasn't the players on Dallas talking their talk. It was the gratification of seeing the Cowboys fan base on social
Yes.
media just lose their mind. It was amazing. That just pumped my chest up full of anything like bravado, air, whatever you want to call it. And I can go back and say this up because you're going to see us in the Super Bowl. And I'm still battling on social media right now with guys like they've been saying, no, you're going to lose to Green Bay, you're going to lose to the Rams. Oh, Washington's going to kill you. Okay, well, I'm just loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
John,
Deb, it's hard because like I love like the part about the game that they play in LA is like you saw Saquon Barkley just shine. And you saw him like he's got the 2+ 70-yard runs in that one game, and it's just like, and he does it in prime time on Sunday night, and just so part of me loves that game. I also the game against Pittsburgh, where the conversations leading up to that game were all about questioning Jalen Hurts and questioning the passing game, and they just go out there and assert themselves in the passing game, and the post game comments, that's what y'all wanted to see, right? Like
and AJ Brown was like that right before the press conference. AJ Brown was like, I feel like there's a problem with passing. And there was this whole big media uproar about it. And then they went in there and that's like all they did was, I was at that game. So
yeah. And that like, and you'll see that like, they like the fact that you have like the end of that game where they hold the ball for the last 10+ minutes and they're able to really control the clock and just kind of run that, shows you that they have the flexibility to pass when they want to pass and run when they want to run, and they can do whatever they need to do.
Yeah. What on that point, what do you think? And we'll switch to Super Bowl. We can actually switch to Super Bowl now. What do you think will be the combination in the Super Bowl game? Do you think it'll be more of a passing game? Do you think it'll be more of a running game?
Be a combination of the both. I think we're going to see tonight the Eagles come out with a great combination, pass run. Like Jalen Hurts is healthy. I expect nothing more from him tonight than another great performance, like we saw against Patrick Mahomes 2 years ago. The X factor is it's an upgraded running game, and the defense is just on another level. Which was something that we were missing the last time we played them in the Super Bowl. So I see this game. Yeah, that's my thing. That's my X factor is the defense. It's just better.
And defense wins championships. I mean, we all know that, So,
exactly.
John, what are your thoughts on the game? What do you think the calls?
I think that you're as many stars as you have on offense, your biggest strength is your offensive line, and they've been healthy. They're going to go into this game healthy, and that offensive line is given time is able to give time to Jalen Hurts. You have the stars on this offensive line to be able to negate the strengths of the Chiefs, defense. When you talk about guys like Karlaftis and Chris Jones and Nick Bolton, like they have a really talented group on the other side. I just feel like the Eagles have the talent to be able to match, and they have the X factor in Saquon Barkley. But the one of the biggest differences for me is like when you go back and look at the defensive line that played them the last time, those guys were in their 30s. When you talk about Fletcher Cox and we talk about the guys that man that defensive line for the Eagles, when you talk about Milton Williams and Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, those guys are all in their young 20s. And those all guys that, Jalen Carter is a guy who, people questioned his motor last year and now he's playing, 90+% of his snaps. And he's Nolan Smith is a guy coming off the edge, really asserting himself. You're going to get, we're going to get Brandon Graham back for, even if it's for, only a handful of plays, he's going to come back and be able to be, that X factor. But I look at what this team is able to do. They're really able to shine when the lights are bright. And, when you look at the additions in the back end of the defense, when you look at Quinion Mitchell and you look at Cooper DeJean, right? It's not a wonder that this defense started to turn after that bye week when Cooper DeJean comes in and starts playing full time.
Yep. I think we'll win the Super Bowl, and I think we have a lot of Super Bowls to come. I think we're gonna be compared to the Patriots. I think just because of that young defense that we do have. I think the Eagles are gonna be a force for several years. When you guys learned the Eagles were gonna be playing Kansas City, what was your immediate thoughts, Eric?
Well, for me, it was revenge game, like it was against New England, and I said I like our chance. And I said the Eagles seem to do better when they play a team the second time in the Super Bowl. It's only happened one time, but now we're on our second chance. So when I saw that, I said, okay, now we got to let's go do this. So that's it. I'm thinking they have this total revenge on their mind.
Don?
Yeah, no, I look at this and look at this matchup and go, you want to beat the best, you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, right? And Kansas City, for whatever it sometimes doesn't look pretty, but they have guys that figure out how to win the game. And I look at but I look at this team and go, we're going to have an opportunity to be able to kind of, as Eric was saying, to right the wrongs of a couple years ago. And I think they have the talent to be able to do that. So this to me just gives them an opportunity. Like I said, the storylines write themselves. The Eagles have never lost the Super Bowl where Carson Wentz was the backup quarterback. So,
That's great. I didn't even think about that.
I'm just saying.
That's funny.
That's great. I'm going to use that.
Just saying, it's all yours, Deb, because it's, I think about, Saquon Barkley's got 30 yards until he becomes the all-time leading, rusher for, in season and postseason. I look at, and the other thing to think about, right, Deb, is that they had to kick Joe Thuney out to tackle to be able to kind of save Mahomes because he was getting a ton of pressure. So where that leaves a hole in the middle of that line where Jalen Carter is going to line up. If I'm looking at these stats, like I'm looking at, right, that Mike Caliendo, he's got 13 pressures allowed. It would be the second worst graded guard over the entire season. And that dude's going to line up against Jalen Carter.
Right.
Double them all you want, but that means you're gonna let some other guys be, man to man. And I think they have the talent to be able to, take up those blocks and let Zach Bond, who's played otherworldly, really get an opportunity to be able to have an effect on this Chiefs offense and be able to negate some of the weapons that they have. Now, Andy Reid's got plays in his pocket that have been sitting there that he's going to bring out like he did, right? He did that in the last Super Bowl.
Such a good coach.
He is. He is, but he has the opportunity to be able, like when you have the talent to match them. If you look at when the Chiefs played the Tampa, right, and they lost, Mahomes was under pressure the entire time,
Yep.
like running for his life.
They got to keep the pressure on Mahomes.
Right. And this year there's no sod father. Right. So there's no grass ice skating rink that they got to play on.
Yep.
You know, they have the neutral surface, and it's a field that they've played on before. I like there's a lot of check boxes. There is that quarterback though, and there is that coach.
Yep.
And you're gonna have to beat them to be able to get another trophy.
Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of shocking to me that a lot of people are picking Kansas City. I mean, it's not shocking because it is Patrick Mahomes and it's Andy Reid, but a lot of people are favoring Kansas City. But I'm like, guys, the Eagles are the more balanced team here, you know. But the Eagles are a better team, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
but
they're the better team. But you still, I guess you can't bet against them until bet against Kansas City until they. I mean, they're going for 3 in a row. I mean, it is what it is.
True.
Right?
You know, and they've been to 4 of the last 5.
They have. Yeah, they have.
They make their Super Bowl reservations in the preseason.
They do. Yeah, no, you're right. And they go for. I feel like they kind of skated through the season though to get to the postseason, and then actually showed what they were worth. And now, you know, I mean, it's going to be a great game. But yeah, you're right. They have the experience, and it's Patrick Mahomes. And I almost feel like though people are almost trained to like think that way though. Like, but they do have the pedigree to back it up. So, what are your predictions? Give me score and team.
To me, this is like a 31-24 Birds. Okay. I think that they're going to be able to put up points. I think that you're gonna see what you've seen all year long. I think you're gonna see Saquon Barkley. I don't care if you put 8 men in the box. I don't care if you lay back and he's going to get his 6, 8, 10, 12, or he's going to get his 65, 75. I think this is a time for him to shine, and he's shined whenever the lights are bright.
Yep, I agree with you.
Yeah,
Eric.
Yeah, I'll give you my my prediction, and I hate to do this, but I have to run because of my, I'm up against it here. I have the Eagles winning 34-27. I feel it's going to be a 1-score game. It's like I said, the defense is going to be the X factor for this game for me. It's Barkley's going to be Barkley. Jalen Hurts is going to be Jalen Hurts. I see balanced passing attack from the Eagles tonight with who's his name? I read the books for inspiration. AJ Brown.
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown, Devontae Smith,
yep.
and Dallas Goedert. I'm totally expecting a good game. It's going to be so much fun to watch, and yeah, it's going to be. That's all I can really say at this point, man. It's like I'm just so hyped for the game right now. I don't know what else to say other than go Birds.
Yeah, and I think we could end it on that way too. Go Birds! Yeah. I have Birds winning 31-28. And guys, give me your socials real quick, and then you can head out. Where can our audience find you?
I mean, we're Drunk on Broad, so we're at Drunk on Broad on any kind of social on X, Instagram, Facebook. We do Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers specific shows. We're normally trying to do one or 2 shows a week. So catch us on all. It's a very unfiltered Philly sports take on anything sports. So we're with the Drunk on Broad is a euphemism for just being intoxicated with Philly sports.
I love it. Love that. Eric, real quick, where can we find you? And then we'll say bye.
All right. You can find the Philly podcast on Facebook. That's our main feed. It's you can just look us up that way, or on Facebook, CEV Sports Talk. You can find us on X/Twitter at CEV Sports. And we go live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. on the Old City Sports Network, awesome. LDE Sports Network, and we go live on their YouTube channel. Just search Old City Sports Network on YouTube.
All right, guys, you heard it. You guys need to tune in. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here, and go Birds, huh?
Go Birds.
Go
Woo-hoo!
Birds.
All right, guys, back to our Super Bowl special. See ya.
I still like them.
Hi everyone, Alex White here. Last night, they basically, I think we're
I'm muted. I want to thank our friends from the Philly podcast, Eric and Don from Drunk on Broad. Appreciate you. And of course, our own Deb Wickus. And you can always check her out every Wednesday with the Blonde Blitz right here on That Sports Podcast Network. Or if you're on Snowman Multimedia, you can check it out there as well. What do you think, Brian? Let's talk just real quick. What do you think? What do you think of the Eagles' season? Because I know we talked later about the game today. What do you think about the season overall? How do you think they performed?
At the start of it, I thought it would be a repeat of last year because no one knew their role. The offense didn't click, and after the loss to Tampa Bay to send them into the bye, they had a lot of questions to answer. But then a switch flipped when they came back from the bye. They were able to rest. They were able to get their act together. And here we are. They're in New Orleans, Super Bowl Sunday.
It was my son's first year playing fantasy football, and he drafted Saquon. My wife's a big Eagles fan, and of course, on Sunday we have a multi-TVs going on. Obviously, we put the Eagles game on, but literally all we said when the start of the season, all we kept repeating was, give the ball to Saquon. All your worries go away. And that seems to be like the concept they took on. You've seen Jalen not throw as much, really just going through Saquon, and that's been the formula of success for them. It's going to be interesting today to see how they match up with this vaunted Chiefs run D too. So
don't be afraid. That's all I can say. Don't be afraid. Because if you're afraid to give the ball to Saquon Barkley and let him run right up the middle against that Chiefs defense where their weak spot is, you're going to force the hand of Jalen Hurts, and you're going to be in trouble.
110%. Going to be interesting for sure, but been a great season nonetheless for the Eagles. Absolutely. All right, well, we talked about the Birds from Philly. Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, and we got our own Mr. Flamboyant himself, Ben Troop, hosting this segment. So let's check out the story of the Kansas City Chiefs.
What up, my good people? And if you could see my ugly face, man, you know what time it is, man. We finna break down this Super Duper Bowl with some Kansas City Chiefs fans. I am Ben Troop from No Weddings in the Fall. And look, I think I don't want to call y'all spoiled or anything, but it's been a long time since y'all did anything normal.
Yeah,
right?
Come on. Yeah.
I got Zachariah over here. I don't know if Zachariah is getting ready for a game or getting ready to go to Denver. We good. Once again, I have Ben Troop filling in for the commissioner. This is, filling in for the commissioner. Ben Troop, No Weddings in the Fall. Super Bowl edition. Look, it's here. The Super Bowl is here, and once again, I don't know if y'all live stay in the same hotel. Do y'all got a ritual? Before I get into these questions, what is it like being a real football fan? Like what is it like being a real football fan with a real football team? Because I'm a Falcons fan. I wouldn't know nothing about what y'all dealing with right now.
Well, I'll tell you this: after 50 years of that friggin' misery that we went through, and it was misery for a long time. It wasn't. A lot of guys, you got a lot of people that right now that are just basically bandwagoners in a lot of ways. They joined Chiefs Kingdom in 2018. That's really what they did. But then you got people like me that spent a lot of time on the field with that team, played sports, did all the stuff. I got a lot of friends there, and it was a tough ride, man. And when Mahomes came in, we were like, man, this is crazy. Are we actually gonna do something with this kid? Because, I mean, we had the Alex Smith run. No, get me wrong. Alex Smith did a lot for us, but he didn't get us over that hump. And that's all Andy needed was somebody to help him get over the hump because he's a smart guy. But, man, it's fun to be a Chiefs fan right now. And, look, we know it's not going to last. At least the OG guys know it's not going to last. Shit ain't going to last.
What are you talking about? Whoa.
Hold on, here's the thing.
It's lasting.
Here's the thing.
It's
lasting right now, but I'm saying just like sustained success is difficult in this world, man. I mean, it's hard no matter what.
All things come to an end. The Patriots,
Exactly.
It's going to be a long run, but look at the Patriots now. You gotta enjoy it while you can.
Patrick Mahomes, for last time I checked, Patrick Mahomes is 29. I think he's going to be 30 this year. He's married. He seems to love his wife. He has 2 kids. He ain't going, you know what I'm saying? He ain't going nowhere. Andy Reid ain't said nothing to him about trying to look, like, let's eat what you want, do what you want, just stay healthy. But I would be remiss, though.
That's the key word, though, Ben. That's the key word, man. Staying healthy.
Listen, Patrick Mahomes, man, he ain't going. But before I lose my train of thought, I got to ask y'all, though. I know we here for the Super Bowl. I get that. But I want to go rapid fire. Start with Zachariah, then we'll go to OG, double OG, then we'll go to Jeff. What was the biggest offseason move for this Kansas City Chiefs team?
Biggest offseason move? I would say we just got like a little snippet of it was pretty much getting Hollywood Brown. I understand people want to like jab at me just because of the fact he missed most of the season because of that shoulder injury he got during our preseason game against Jacksonville. But that plus I could also add the fact that we got DeAndre Hopkins in the trade deadline. I think that's really helped get our receiving core to a bigger, like, back to like close to what it was, even up until like Hollywood Brown come back, and then also with the fact we lost Rashee Rice for the whole season. So getting Hollywood Brown and also getting DeAndre Hopkins in the trade deadline, I really think that's one of the main keys that like has helped us out in this run to do something we had only few have done in North American sports. So I think that's helped out a bunch.
What about you, OG?
Look, man, it's got to be the draft, and it's got to be worthy. This kid, I think people don't realize how good he actually is, and it took him a little while to grasp the NFL. He was playing almost college rules at the beginning. Got his speed, he's got the hands, didn't have the footwork, didn't have the balance. Each week he's progressively gotten better. And last week set a rookie record in the playoff game. I think that, look, man, every time we dupe the Bills, it's a good day. And we've been duping them since Patrick Mahomes. Every single time, man, we trade up, we trade with them. Why would they trade with us every time?
Right.
I mean, why would you do? I don't understand the mindset behind this. We duped you for Mahomes. We duped you for McDuffie. Now we duped you for Worthy. You just can't. You can't continue to get smoked like that by a team that smokes you every year in the playoffs, and then you want to trade with them again. You got to be, man. You got fired on your day off doing stupid shit like that. That's just insane, man.
Agreed.
Jeff, man, jump in here, man. What's the biggest offseason move for you?
Yeah, and a great point. Double OG made a great point, and but just so I'm not repetitive, I'm going to say the biggest offseason move was just keeping Chris Jones. I mean, I think Mahomes is great, Reid is great, but the story with this Chiefs team is that defense. He's the linchpin of that defense, and not only Jones, but they really kept everybody except Snead was the one guy they lost. So the fact that they were able to keep Chris Jones in so much of that front seven, whether it's Mike Dana, whether it's re-signing Drew Tranquill, and that defense has been so great. And hey, Ben, one aside, I've had a lot of different journalism jobs. One of them was with Pro Football Weekly. Back in the day, I did it was fun to see your name because I did a feature when you were entering the draft from from Florida. So it's a small world. I interviewed you years ago. So
Man, listen. I hope you was kind to me, man. A young Ben Troop was not as polished as I am now, man. But it's always good to catch up with people like yourself who you were our social media back then. Without people like yourself writing about us, and actually when people read magazines, news, but people read back then, and it was more than 270.
Yeah, people don't read no more.
I do appreciate it. But
Ben was a stud, an absolute stud. You were on our radar for sure. So
man, listen, I wouldn't survive in Kansas City. I had never seen snow. I couldn't. If they would, the biggest question I would have had to answer was: is Kansas City Chiefs in Missouri or Kansas? I said, wait a minute, it's two of them. No, just move on to the next question because I wasn't as polished, as I am now. But I got to ask you guys this, even though it's crazy: are you guys Swifties? I mean, I know we have to watch them.
I'm somewhat of a Swiftie, but my girlfriend is full blown Swiftie. I mean, anything that she plays, any of the music that she plays when she's in the shower, it's mostly just all Taylor Swift stuff. I mean, from her debut album when she was still doing country music to pretty much to the Tortured Poets album that came out months ago. I mean, yeah, she's pretty much got all of her albums, listening to that like over and over again. So it's
I'm old, man.
Yep.
I'm not. I'm old. I am not. I'm just not. I mean, it is what it is. When you look, man. I mean, I don't have anything against her. Don't get me wrong. She ain't never done shit to me. I don't know why everybody hates her, but I don't listen to her music. No, I just don't. I mean, it's just not my kind of music.
I know. I'm just saying. I mean, I know some of it. I don't know if my kids are Swifties or not, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, the fact that I knew people saying stuff like, "Who's Travis Kelce?" You know how many? Who is that?
Yeah.
Like, who plays for the Chiefs? Yeah. Oh, that's why she's there. Like, yeah. Like her boyfriend. Like, oh, okay, that's nice. Is he good? Like, yeah, he's okay. Travis Kelce is
he's not bad. He's not bad.
But you guys mentioned something. You guys mentioned McDuffie. What matchup are y'all most looking forward to tonight? What matchup are y'all looking forward to the most?
Doesn't matter at all. I don't care who he goes up against. That dude's too good. It doesn't matter who he goes up against. I'm okay with it. Honest to God, I mean, they could put him up against anybody on that Eagles team, and I'm okay with it.
I think. Go ahead, Zach.
Well, I agree. I agree to JP to an extent. Just how big and physical Philadelphia's receivers are at, especially AJ Brown. I just think on paper, you can look at it as sort of a mismatch because how tall AJ Brown is and that McDuffie is shorter and everything. But I just think, with the fact that Jalen Watson is back and whatnot, I just pretty much with that, I just feel that our secondary is pretty much going to have a lot on their plate to pretty much just to slow down AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert and all these all the boys that the Eagles have.
I'm looking at both line of scrimmage that I want to see if the Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in football, but they're a little bit banged up with Cam Jurgens and Dickerson. I want to see how they look against. Again, I mentioned Chris Jones, as good a defensive tackle as there is, and another guy on the other side who is in his league. Carter is really dominant on the Eagles. I want to see how the Chiefs I thought had the best interior offensive line in football, but when they moved Tooney to left tackle, Caliendo, he's solid but not spectacular. I want to see how Caliendo versus Carter does, and again how Chris Jones does against two guys who are really good but might not be at 100%, and Dickerson and Jurgens.
I kind of want to tie into that. I don't know if you noticed, but when Charles Omenihu came back, the entire line changed.
Exactly. Absolutely.
He doesn't get in the backfield a lot. He's just constant pressure, and he takes all that pressure off of Chris Jones. And when you can and Karlaftis for that matter, you got three studs right there, and people don't realize how much of an impact Charles Omenihu's made.
Totally.
Now that we've got healthy at the right
especially
time,
I'll add to it, George Karlaftis benefiting, I think, the most out of it, because since Omenihu came back, Karlaftis has been a different person. I mean, getting to CJ Stroud 3 times in the divisional game. And so I think that's going to be the key. Like I've told everybody before the AFC title game against Buffalo, our defensive line is going to be the key in this matchup with the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
All right. One name. I just want you guys to give me one name apiece. Who's the MVP of the Super Bowl?
I mean, that's difficult because 99% chance it's going to be a quarterback. It just is what it is. That's just how they vote. But honestly, not if that defense shut down Saquon. It might be coming from the defense. That's a different story. That's a different story. I'm glad you brought that up. Guess who's back and healthy? Mike Pennell. People forget about Mike Pennell.
Yeah,
he's a run stuffing fool, man.
He was great. He was great in Super Bowl 58. He was like I remember we watching the tape, and I actually thought going in, I'm like, with McCaffrey, Shanahan so good at coaching the run game, Derek Nottie was out. I'm like, the Chiefs might be in trouble here. Pennell was amazing. He just stood out on the tape. Yeah.
Every time he steps on the field, you don't have to worry about a running back. That's just how good. And he's 36 years old. That's what people don't realize. He's 36. Good dude too. Real good dude. But
local guy. He's a Topeka guy. So
that's right. Local guy, really good guy, but he is just so dominant against the run game. Last week against the Bills, he wasn't in. And we saw that with the amount of yards that they were able to pick up. So Cook is a great running back, but we haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in almost 2 years. So it's really hard to sit back and go, damn, I know Saquon's good as long as he's got an open lane, but Mike Pennell's going to fill a lot of those holes. I'm glad he's back, man. So,
I mean, with that being said,
that one name though, I'm going to have to say, look, man, I'm just going to go with a quarterback though. I mean,
I wouldn't. That being said, this season was different from what I just from a casual, football fan watching Kansas City. This what I think made Kansas City dangerous this year. This year they didn't care how it looked. I don't care about blowing nobody out. I don't care about stats. I don't care blocking field goals, making fourth down. What was it like for you guys as Kansas City Chiefs fans seeing, dude, we've seen them do it every other. I don't think Patrick Mahomes cared about the MVP race at all. I don't think he cared about it one bit. I just said when Kansas City just care about winning and they don't care about looking, cool doing it, sexy doing it, that makes them dangerous because they've seen it all, done it all. I mean, McDuffie, 3 years in the league, 3 years in the Super Bowl. This kind of stuff to me is crazy.
Well, here's the thing, man. I think they discount the fact that Andy plays a different style of football. I talked to a lot of guys with the team. He doesn't show his cards, man. And you got these teams like the Lions, like the Eagles, going out there and blowing horrible football teams out 40 points, 45 points, 55 points. You're putting all your cards on. The Bills did it. You put all your cards on the table. These aren't coaches. I'm sorry, man, but a lot of Nick Sirianni is definitely not that coach. He's a cheerleader. I'm not trying to be a dick, but he's a cheerleader. He doesn't call plays. He doesn't draw plays up. So when you got coaches out there that want to show their dominance so hard in the regular season, they don't have anything left for the playoffs because they're not good enough to have a second playbook. Andy's got a Stephen King novel, man. That shit's huge. He doesn't get past page 1 or 2 in the regular season. Yeah. And people discount the fact that this is what he does, and everybody's bought into it. They don't give a shit if they win by 1, 3, 7, 21. Andy's not going to show his cards. But in the playoffs, who's got film on us?
I compare it more. It's JP, great point there. I compare it more than a Stephen King novel. I think it's a Cheesecake Factory menu. That's with all those pages. I think with Andy Reid, that's the comp I give.
And it's true. I mean, he doesn't get, and the players get a sheet for that week.
Mhm.
There's only one guy that's got pretty much that whole playbook, and that's Patrick Mahomes. So nobody knows what he's going to do from week to week. I don't even know if he knows sometimes. But the whole point is he can go back in his Rolodex and his Stephen King novel and keep flipping pages and find a play that'll work against that defense. And he does it week in and week out, and he figures out a way to win. Andy also learned how to manage the clock. Remember, that was a big complaint about Andy for years. So he wasn't a
In the
great
Eagles
clock
days.
manager.
Yep.
But now he knows how to do it. He knows how to do it. And all these fucking teams out there, excuse the language, all these teams out there that are struggling because, especially in the playoffs, because they got film on those dudes, man. They know. I said it in that game when we got blown out against Denver. Everybody remember the 38-0 or whatever it ended up being?
That wasn't real. The last game of the season
Exactly.
wasn't real.
Exactly. Yeah. So everybody goes, oh my God, what the hell happened to the Chiefs? Motherfucker, we had practice squad dudes up there, and Andy was calling. He called 5 plays. It was 5 plays.
Oh yeah,
Steve
the announcer was confused as hell. He was like, "Who are these people? Man, just call the plays, man. Just
I put up on X. I put, who's got film on us? I'll wait because ain't nobody got film on us, man.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what Andy's going to do in the playoffs. They don't know any of this. They think, oh God, we're going to see Corn Dog because that's how they line up. No, we ain't seen Corn Dog. And maybe a version of Corn Dog, but Andy's done changed it. You can't do that in the regular season and expect to have success in the playoffs, especially if you're a newer coach or a coach that doesn't call plays. It is what it is.
So what? So give me that. So give me a score. We obviously listen. You guys been breaking it. Listen, I'm hearing about Stephen King novels and Cheesecake Factory and everything, right? You know, I want to know. I already know who y'all think is who y'all feel as though going to win, rightfully so. Give me a score prediction.
That's tough. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game to a degree. I don't think their defense is going to be able to control what Mahomes does, especially if he uses his legs. The one thing I do know is that we can control Jalen Hurts. We've done it over and over again. We can control. I think Saquon Barkley brings a totally different element to this game. He does. If he can get those wide open lanes, then you got to watch out. But if we can force them to pass with our secondary, I still think it's going to be I think it's going to be a 10-point game. And I'm going to say 35-28 Chiefs. And I'm giving him 28 because of Barkley.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. He's Freddy Krueger with a jersey on. So yeah.
He really is, man. The dude, he's amazing, man. And look, when he was with the Giants, I was like, damn, man, why the hell do they have him?
Hey man, what they say, good
teams
are good teams because they make good decisions, good decisions. Great teams are great teams because they make great decisions. Awful teams are awful teams because they let Saquon Barkley hit free agency. That's why
there you go.
Yeah, there's a saying that goes into that: one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Well,
that's the greatest trash ever. If you throw
that dude is so good.
You turn.
I'll give you another one, man. Kareem Hunt. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't give a shit who hates me. That man is probably he is, in fact, in my opinion, the best pass-catching running back in football. He breaks tackles better than anybody I've ever seen. I said this in 2017. I'm saying it today. He is, at 29 years old, he transformed our team when he got here. Think about this, man. 930 some odd yards, and he didn't start until week 7. 930 some odd yards, 10 touchdowns. So when people want to compare running backs in this league, look at what he does and his abilities. His athletic ability is just a part of it. He's not the strongest guy out there. His damn legs, he could bench press a Buick. That dude can break any tackle there is. He knows how to lean forward. He knows how to find the holes. He's got patience. He's got vision. A lot of guys don't have that. And I think he's going to be a key to this game. He's going to be a huge key in this game. Everybody wants to talk about Barkley, and there's no doubt he's a great player. The difference is with Barkley, if the holes are closed up at the line, he has a really hard time getting more than 2 or 3 yards. If he's got an open hole because of his speed, he can get through it and he'll exploit the shit out of you. Kareem figures out a way of not losing yards. If he just knows how to do it. He gets skinny, he finds those open holes, and he's able to lunge forward and get the extra yardage. His pass catching abilities is ridiculous. We found out, and I think we talked about this on the other show with Jason, we found out in 21 that he was cleared to come back to the Chiefs. It was just all about timing. He wanted out of Cleveland so bad. I mean, he was the second fiddle to Chubb, which was dumb. That tells you about bad teams. But I'm kind of glad he waited. He doesn't have the wear and tear on him that all these other running backs have. He just doesn't have it. At 29, he's running he doesn't have the speed, but he's got the elusiveness, and he's got the talent and the vision to be able to break shit. And that's that's the difference between him and a lot of other running backs. It just is what it is. He's a huge competitor and a huge reason why we're where we're at. And he deserves a ring, man.
Mm-hmm.
He absolutely deserves a ring. Anyway, what's next? Anybody else?
Give me a
Chime in. I'm
score
talking.
prediction, Jeff and Zachariah. Give me a score prediction.
Jeff, go ahead.
Thanks, Zachariah. I actually, unlike JP, I think both these defenses are really good. I think the Chiefs win, but I think the Chiefs play everyone close. You know, every game is a one-score game. So I'm going 24-22 Chiefs in kind of a low-scoring game, and I think 22 is a weird number, but I'm really like Harrison Butker is so clutch. He hits so many key field goals. Jake Elliott, he's been a little shaky. He's missed some extra points. He's missed some field goals. So 22 is a weird number, but I think we might get there. I think special teams could be a key, and that might actually even be the difference between two good teams. So.
Makes sense.
My score prediction, I would say Chiefs 27, Eagles 24. I feel I know it's kind of a close to what your prediction is, Jeff. And you're right, special teams is going to be a key factor in all this. But as I've said pretty much all week is that, you know, our defense, the two things our defense has to do, stop Saquon Barkley, and don't forget, Jalen Hurts can also run the ball too. So that is something that Steve Spagnuolo, I have great respect for Spags and what he's done in getting his defenses ready for big time games. I mean, like what stopping Tom Brady when he was still defensive coordinator for the Giants. So Spags is pretty much has got a lot on his plate to ensure that they got to contain not only Saquon Barkley but Jalen Hurts. And for our offense, we just got to continue to stay consistent in what we do. And JP, you're right. I feel this game is going to be considering this is Kareem Hunt's first Super Bowl. And keep in mind, this is also DeAndre Hopkins' his first Super Bowl as well. So adding D-Hop's experience and with the fact that Kareem Hunt is just hungry for not only to win this, but to pretty much what's that word? Chastise all his demons of pretty much of what he's been through and whatnot. So that plus our defense trying to contain Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, and also what you said, Jeff, special teams. That's got to be key. So like I said. My prediction, Chiefs 27, Eagles 24. Harrison Butker kicks us to a 3-peat.
Well, let me ask you something, Ben.
Yes, sir.
Real quick. You played the game, you know. With D-Hop, you know, he hasn't felt like he's contributed a whole lot during the playoffs, which he hasn't. Andy's kept him out for a reason. People think it's just his knee was a little – I shouldn't be saying that. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Anyway, he wants to be in this game. He wants to contribute to get that ring. When you played, and if you were in his position, would you say, I don't care how I get it, I just want that ring? Being D-Hop now. Think about being D-Hop.
Of course I'm going to say, but for two reasons. Number one, sometimes, man, they bring you on the team for more of what you do production-wise. Sometimes they bring you on the team because you got a bunch of young receivers who got to make, you know what I'm saying, they got to make the transition to the big leagues, right? Andre Johnson did it for him, right? When he got, you see why he was so good at Houston.
Yeah.
You know why Steve Smith Jr. was so good at Carolina? He had a Musa Muhammad. When you got somebody in front of you who know you're going to take their spot, but they welcome you. Sometimes, man, listen. He's made a bunch of money. He's a 3-time first-team All-Pro. He not that he needs it. He get a super duper. That's the icing on the cake. If you want to go to a good team, play for the Titans. They'll send you to a good team, right?
Yeah.
That's all.
Every time.
That's all you got to do. Whether it's the Ravens or the Eagles or the Chiefs and so on and so forth. But listen, man. I really, really enjoyed you guys. You know, to get to see real football fans talking about a real football team. Listen, go around the horn, man. Talk about it. What can everybody find you guys? What you guys got going on these days?
You want me to go?
Yeah, you go first, OG, and then we go to Zachariah and Jeff.
Same order.
You can find me on any social media. It's called Chiefs Focus. Been around for a long time. We do a live show every week, twice a week it's broadcast everywhere. Chiefs Focus Live. Find us. We have a lot of fun. We get a lot of players come on too. Ben, you need to come on.
Hey man,
we're jacking around.
I ain't hard to find.
That's where you can find me. Who's next?
Go ahead, Zachariah.
All right. Just on social media, just find me on it's KC Warrior 8552 on Instagram, X, even on TikTok. I post a lot of my KC Warrior videos 24 hours prior to kickoff about what my opinions are on upcoming games and whatnot. And what I also do, and I'm going to try to make this short as I can, I've also been in the process of also selling a lot of these patches to benefit certain causes that are near dear to my heart, like autism awareness, suicide prevention, fentanyl awareness. And just this year, I'm adding, you can look here, CHD. It's a congenital heart disease. The inspiration from this came from a Chiefs fan that me and my girlfriend met before the Chiefs Saints game. He's a little 6-year-old that was born with the backwards heart, and also had CHD, and as a result, he had to overcome 5 different open heart surgeries to put his heart into place. But aside all of that, this little boy is he's bright, he's energetic. Not only he's a big Travis Kelce fan, but also he's a big Taylor Swift fan. So his name is Josiah Medler, and I'm selling these patches to pretty much to help him with this cause, but also all the money I'm going to also with the patches, I'm going to send it to donate all of that, the proceeds to Children's Mercy Hospital, because since I'm in Kansas City and Children's Mercy is a real near dear hospital to my heart and so forth. So just find me on social media. Like I said, KC Warrior 8552, and you want to buy my patches, just let me know. And also just to shout out to all my Warriors helping me out, like with who I am. Also shout out to Josiah and his parents, and also shout out to my girlfriend Jennifer. I love you. Hey, let's go Chiefs. Let's go. Let's do what Jordan's Bulls did not once but twice. Something Derek Jeter's Yankees did once. Swinging A's of the 70s did once. And let's do what no one's done in the NFL. Let's go for that 3-peat, baby. Go Chiefs.
Yeah, wow, those causes are really cool, Zachariah. I've been in New Orleans here all week for Forbes.com. So if you want to get hyped for the matchup, go to Forbes.com. You can search my name, Jeff Fedotin, Fedotin. And I also co-host Believe in Chiefs with former Chiefs offensive lineman, holds the record for tackle-eligible touchdowns, Joe Valerio. That's Believe in Chiefs.
Oh, man, me and Joe are good friends. I know Joe
Joe's
really
the
well.
best.
It's funny.
Joe's the best.
Yeah, Joe's awesome, man. Yeah.
So Believe, BLEAV in Chiefs. Yep, you've seen. So go listen to we recorded from Radio Row. So if you want to get hyped for the matchup, give us a listen on our podcast.
You got to send me your social media, dude.
Both of you guys when we get off here.
Yeah,
Listen,
definitely.
Jeff, Zachariah, JPOG, Double OG. I appreciate you guys taking the time today. I am Ben Troop of the No Weddings in the Fall podcast. Basically, it's all in the name. If I catch you getting mad in the fall, I'm gonna come in with a big thing of baby powder. I'm gonna slap you on the left side. It's all love. It's all love, man. It's all love. But let me say this. Before we really get out of here. If Travis Kelce is the GOAT tight end, which he is.
Yes, he is.
If Patrick Mahomes is another one and they put him in the GOAT conversation, which he is, how can Andy Reid not be the GOAT?
Yeah,
exactly.
He's gonna end up with the most wins.
And people go, why? People say, well, man, why are you saying he the GOAT? It's not just what he did at Kansas City. Who's the all-time leading win at Philly? That would be Andy Reid. All I'm saying is
different teams.
All I'm saying is GOAT quarterback, GOAT tight end. Who's coaching them? Got to be the GOAT.
Andy Reid.
I think he's going to end up with the most wins. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave y'all alone.
Hey, man, you left Spags out, dude.
Spags
is a 5-time Super Bowl DC. Oh,
listen, follow all these incredible gentlemen. I am being true, man. Listen, back to the Super Bowl special.
Peace out, everybody.
Yeah, here we go. Wait, take.
He's got Ben Troop at the 15, at the 10, hurdles the man, spins to the 5. Oh my! Still on his feet, still pounding to the goal line. He's gonna score!
Like to thank our friends Jeff Fedotin from Forbes.com, JP from Chief Focus, and the Chiefs Warrior, our boy Zachariah. Go check him out and get one of those patches for one of those good causes for Zach. Doing some great things on and off the field, so we can certainly appreciate that. Man, I gotta just say real quick, right? It's like one of those things. It must be so easy to cover the team like the Chiefs, right?
Let's see. Patrick Mahomes, yeah. Isaiah Pacheco, yeah, I got him. Andy Reid, yeah, and he's not the GOAT of coaches, and I'll explain why in a moment. Man, it's too simple. It's kind of like the first days I got to cover the 49ers on the back end of their dynasty run. A fella named Steve Young got me hooked. Okay. Well, Montana got me hooked first, but I didn't graduate high school yet. According to my mother, I can't be a journalist while I'm still in high school, even though I was, and she didn't know it yet because I was writing stuff in high school. I was writing stuff in high school, man. What the hell is she talking about? I was writing stuff in high school. But one reason, and one reason only, and I kid around when I say this because I love Andy Reid and everything that he's done. One reason I will say, very jokingly, that he is not the GOAT quarterback. You know the name I'm going to throw out there. Bill Walsh. Yeah. The godfather of the West. I don't care what anybody says to be the godfather of the West Coast offense. But then there's Vince Lombardi, there's Tom Landry, and there's the guys who paved the way for Bill Walsh. And the coaching tree of Bill Walsh, of course, Mike Holmgren, whom we spoke about, Mike Shanahan, and of course Andy Reid, who comes from that same tree. And of course, one of the other legends that you and I have talked about offline, the great Bill Parcells.
You know, somebody you didn't mention that I just gotta say is from America's team, the Miami Dolphins, Don Shula, the man, the
Shula. Oh my gosh, how could I forget? How could I forget the late great Don Shula? Oh my gosh.
All good.
Bad Brian. Bad Brian, as my wife would say. Bad Brian.
All good indeed. Yeah, I mean, look, you got to say, like, Andy Reid's done it in 2 places. You know, certainly running another dynasty now. So definitely in that conversation.
And it is, and according to people who don't like saying the word and associating that with the Chiefs, it is a dynasty. Okay,
it is.
It's a dynasty. 3 and 4 years. They're going for the 3-peat today, in what I think is going to be a high-scoring ball game. But we'll talk about that a little later. But it's I have to admit something. It's fun watching the Chiefs and the shenanigans they do on the field. And the next thing you know, you're down 34-0, and you're like, "What the hell happened?" I love watching the Chiefs. My wife, her second team is the Kansas City Chiefs.
I compare them to the 90s run of the Bulls because I remember back then saying the same exact things. They're cheating every time Michael Jordan goes to the lane and gets fouled. Like, I remember saying the same exact thing over and over. So I feel like it's a good comparison to both, even though it's different sports.
People are going to say that about every dynasty. Exactly. People are going to say that. People are going to say that about every dynasty. Okay, they said it about the Cowboys. They said it about the Packers, and they said it about the 49ers. Hell, I still get hell from that. And the question I get asked all the time, especially on the show, like, how are they doing this? Look at the leadership. Look at the leadership. Before we go to break, funny story. My mom, God bless my late mother, Myrtle Snow. I was born and raised in Chicago. All right. And she just immediately thought I would be a Bears fan. Child, please. Me and the Bears have not gotten along and never will get along. Anyway, Niners were playing the Bears, 88 NFC Championship, Soldier Field, colder than you know what. And mom and dad are excited. My sister, who somehow followed football that day, is excited. And I'm the only 49er fan in the house. When Montana hit Rice with that 61-yard touchdown on an out pattern, everybody in the house was silent. I looked at my mother and I said, I'm going to go take a nap. She says, why are you taking that? Because this ball game is over. I saw the highlights later. One to Rice, Craig scored, and then Rathman scored to cap off the scoring. Wound up being 28-3, and I just looked at my mom when I came back downstairs, and I stretched, and I already had gotten the final score because I watched it upstairs. I said, oh, by the way, Mom, how'd the Bears do today?
Nothing wrong with the rubber.
Hated me that weekend for that one.
Sure, never forgave you either. That's for sure.
And she says, I hope the Niners lose the Super Bowl. 2 weeks later, I didn't tell her I made $250 when I called the 49ers winning the game on a game-winning pass to an unheralded wide receiver. You know this name very well, John Taylor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, late and great for sure. It's funny how, again, not to give anything away, but we kind of pre-taped some of these segments. And when we did the breakdown for the Super Bowl, I felt like on your end, it was the breakdown for the Niners. So now all of a sudden we're going full circle.
It's what I know. It's what I know. Listen, this is why we teamed up and are on each other's networks. All right. We can talk mess to each other all the time. But at the same time, if people have ever watched Snowman in the Morning, man, we bring it. We bring it 5 days. We bring it 5 days a week. Got all the stats, facts, and figures, and we mix in a whole lot of fun with it. I enjoy and I love the hell out of my crew for being there. My executive producer, Cole Johnson, who's on to another project, but still the EP of my show. Shane Lake, the co-EP. Shane Creighton, a.k.a. Droid, who brings the hockey knowledge. My buddy Victor Locke from Chicago, who breaks all the sports down with me. I absolutely adore those guys. they've always been there for me, even on days when I didn't want to do it because my body was acting stupid. Of course, for some of you who don't know, on That Sports Podcast Network, I am a survivor of stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And my body has been through some weird things, to say the least. But I wasn't supposed to make it to 50, according to Duke University Cancer Center. I am 52 years old. I'll be 53 in July. Yes, I'm minus some organs, and yes, I'm still learning to walk again after sitting in a wheelchair for 7 months because I lost my right big toe got amputated. But doggone it, I'm going to kick that in the ass just like I kicked cancer in the ass.
Awesome. That's the kind of motivation we need today, man. I'm glad you shared that with everyone. And obviously go check out Snowman in the Morning over on Snowman Multimedia on YouTube. Every morning, go check it out.
Better believe it.
If you're doing a party today, we got just the thing for you. We got our well, she's from the Blonde Blitz, but she is very well known to athletes, Shay Holland. She does a lot with designing homes. So she's going to come on and give you some great tips on how to set up your party today. And then we got from the Food Network's Chopped, two winners. We got Chef Chris, and Chef, I can't even spit it out, and Chef Steven on. They're going to be on to give you some great food options as well. So make sure we check that out. Coming up next, it's time for our party prep segment. Let's check it out.
Welcome in, and thank you for sticking around with us for our Super Bowl special here on That Sports Podcast Network. And since we're talking Super Bowl parties, this is a party. We got the people who are ready to bring you all the information you need to get your party started. I'm Andrew LeDuc. This is Bud Copeland of the Divots and Pivots Show. And let us welcome in our guests as you join us here. We have Shay Holland, Chris Dotson. Chef Chris Dotson and Chef Steven. Is it Beatty? Did I say that right, Steven?
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. Sorry about that. But guys, welcome in, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about what we got going on today for the Super Bowl. First and foremost, how you guys doing this morning?
Good. Thanks for having us.
I'm great. Yeah, all is well. All is well. Excited about the game today.
Now, before we get started, anybody fans of either team?
Well, my podcast that I do,
crickets, huh?
Yeah, she's making me go for the Eagles. So there you go.
Okay, that's fine. I'm reluctantly also cheering for the Eagles today, but that's because I'm a grouchy New England fan. So that's other reasons we can get into another time. But let's get into it because for anyone who doesn't know, we'll start with Shay here. Shay is a fantastic interior designer. She caters to the stars, to players, and she knows what she's doing. She's here to help us out. First and foremost, Shay, I also have a background in interior design, so I'm fascinated getting ready to talk with you here. So my first question, most people might not care about, but I got to get it out of the way. I used to design for Roche Bobois. I don't know if you've judging by your face, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, most people probably don't, but yes.
So real fast, the favorite piece of furniture that you've had from them before. I just gotta know.
I am not going to give away those kinds of details.
Okay, it's fine.
Well, if you've been at Roche Bobois, I can't even say the name, so you really should be the one doing the segment, probably.
Well, I haven't worked there for about 7 years, so it was a while ago, but there was a little background there.
That's amazing.
It was a fun time. But with your expertise, and since we're talking Super Bowl party, we got to talk about the best way to kind of, I guess, arrange and get ready for a party. So let's start with some basics. If you got one big room, you got everyone in it. Let's start with the TV. The TV is obviously the most important. Is this going on the biggest wall? Is it going front and center, or stands, wall hanging? Give us the info of what the best way to set up your TV for a Super Bowl party is.
Well, definitely there's some universal things. For example, the TV height. If you have not moved your TV down to eye level, you might want to figure out a way today to do that, because that's the most important thing. You don't want people sitting there craning their neck the whole Super Bowl, because that gets really uncomfortable. Chiropractors love it because then people have neck and back problems. But that is the most important thing. And it's also the number one mistake that people make, is not having the TV at the right height. Usually it's too high. Sometimes you can't do anything about it, like if it's been placed above a fireplace or whatever. But if you can do something about it, that's the first thing that you're going to want to do today. The second thing that you're going to want to do has to do with the sound. You really want to have that immersive experience. If you have speakers, those are often at the wrong level for people too. Those should be at ear level. So if you can, you might need to prop them up on boxes or whatever. A lot of times we see them on the floor, but that's actually not going to give you the best sound quality for a game. And a lot of these tips, I take them from sometimes when I look at the suites, for example, at the Superdome. Now, okay, so those are going for, let me tell you this. I'm laughing because one day we're going to have those 500,000 to 3 million. Okay, that is how much those people are paying in those suites. to have this experience that you can have at home
Ain't that
for
like
a
that?
heck of a lot less if you just do the things right with your TV. And then finally, if you're wondering where the TV should be as far as how far people should be sitting from it, that's another important thing because you don't want to be too close to it and you don't want to be too far from it. So here's a really super easy way today to figure out if your TV's at the right distance. Just get a tape measure, measure your TV across horizontally, not diagonally, which is the way that we're used to. You want to measure it horizontally, and then all you do is double that width. So and that should be the distance. That's anywhere, give or take a foot or two. But like, for example, I have a TV back there, but I'm not going to get up and measure it. But I think it's probably about 48 inches across, so 4 feet. So my ideal distance from that TV is about 8 feet, give or take, anywhere between 7-9 feet. So that's a super easy way to figure out if that's going to be optimum viewing for your guests. So those are just a couple of quick tips on the TV placement, which is, like you said, Andrew, the most important thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna drive my family crazy when we get off of this, and I'm gonna go move the furniture around before the game. That's what you just put in my head.
No, well, I didn't even give you my furniture placement tips yet.
Well, let's get there then. That's like how much seating is too much seating, or like where are you? Or here, okay, we'll start with a straight basic one, I guess. Couch, if you have the space, couch floating or up against the wall.
Ideally couch floating. And the reason is you want to give people room to walk behind the television and not in front of it. Some people now, I understand, don't have that luxury. But if you do, that's the ideal thing because you don't want, whatever team you're rooting for just down there at the, 2-yard line and somebody gets up to go to the bathroom because they can't wait any longer. And they walk in front of everybody at that moment. So that's one of the important things. The other is that we recommend as designers an L or a U shape. So, so everybody has a good view. And that's a really easy way to figure out, okay, how should these be, seats be? Because most of us probably don't have the space. If you have a home theater, awesome. You've already got your seating in there. But most of us don't have the room for theater seating in our living rooms, nor do you want it because it's going to look really funny. And also everybody's not going to be able to see around each other's heads in a living room. So if you don't have that home theater, think about doing an L or a U shape. So that way everybody kind of gets a good angle. And you want to sit in each of those seats before the game starts and see if there's, for example, any glare, like maybe there's glare coming from a light, or like on the West Coast, it's still going to be daytime. So, you don't want something coming in from the window where somebody's going to just be going crazy because they're having glare on the TV the entire time they're trying to watch the game. So those are just a couple of things on your seating that you're going to want to watch out for.
See, and I think part of the fun is fighting for the best seat in the house, but maybe that's just me.
I know. We do that too at my house. Yeah. And we have a saying: you move, you lose. So
it makes sense. I know. I don't have a home theater, but do you have a home theater?
No, but you just like the fighting because you're a cranky New Englander, and that's how you people show brotherly love. I mean, I have a buddy who that's what he says. Sometimes brothers punch each other.
Yeah. Any tip? Working at Roche Babal, would you agree with that, or do you have some more seating tips, Andrew?
Like I said, it's been a while, and good job with the name.
That's a foreign language because it's French. I don't even.
It is. So that was my biggest thing when I was designing. All the design programs were in French, so I actually had to learn a little bit of French just to use the programs.
Wow.
But no, what you said, I mean, I'm not going to upstage you here. You know more than I do at this point about this.
I swear to God, this is coming up next week on the show. We host a golf show, Divots and Pivots. Don't forget Tuesday nights, 8 p.m.
There
folks.
it is.
I woke up this morning hungry. Thought we were just going to be talking about food, and all the information I just took in. I know that I'm going to have to do the exact same thing as drive my roommate crazy, my roommate / wife, rearranging things and doing measurings. But my first, I'm sorry, no, I thought I've been sitting on this food question real quick. Actually, Shay, anything else on the positioning? I felt terrible. I just stepped all over that.
Oh, no, that's all right. Totally. I mean, if there's anything else you guys want to know, just let me know because I want to hear about food too. And I'm glad I don't have to do the food tips. And if you need to just move, move the rest of the furniture out to the garage or something, just the seating.
There we go.
And something to put your drinks and food on. And that's really all you need for Super Bowl Sunday. There you go. Yes. The rules of parties don't apply to this Super Bowl Sunday. It's a special exception. All you need is seating, a really good TV, and somewhere to set your food and drinks.
We're simple creatures, absolutely simple creatures. And so simple creatures, usually things in the Super Bowl time are pretty basic, pretty foundational. There are certain things, I think, if you say Super Bowl party, you're automatically going to hear, okay, there's certain snacks going to be there. But Chris or Steven, I'm curious, as far as, I guess, well, food can definitely be trendy, and food's always trending. There's always, you all are always in that game of trying to keep up and reinvent and do that. But when it comes to, again, I say like Super Bowl parties, everybody's thinking the same basic stuff. However, if there were things that are trending this year for Super Bowl parties, maybe what would be something to be on the lookout for? Or if you want to stand out at your Super Bowl party, what's something a little different this year that you can throw at your people?
Gotcha. You want to take this,
I
Chris?
have a
or-
good trend. Yeah. Oh, let me in there. So there's a good trend that's going around eating chicken nuggets and caviar.
What?
I tried it recently. It's great. You should have it. That's right. Chicken nuggets and caviar.
My kids are gonna be pissed if I make all their dino nuggets on them.
Oh, man.
Listen, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking we got to get on
You're
TikTok
gonna
real
fight for
quick.
sure. That's definitely a trend.
This is real though. Y'all aren't pulling my leg. This
I
isn't
know
like the
it's crazy.
Rochambeau
It sounds
thing
good,
that I
but
think
the sweet and sour sauce I had recently, it's crazy, but it's so good. That saltiness of the caviar, then that sweet and sour sauce, and then the chicken nugget goodness. Oh man, it's great.
Is this just like a California
All right, Shay,
thing
you don't
still
look
right
so
now? Or
excited.
has-
I think it's a California thing because I tell you,
Okay.
back home, we do not eat caviar. And I am not going to the store and getting some.
I don't think caviar exists here in New England. So
Where are you
I'm
at?
gonna do it. Oh, I'm
New
telling you,
England.
there's got to be a Whole Foods somewhere that's got it or whatever.
Oh, definitely.
You don't have to go top shelf here. I mean, you can just find whatever. Get the imitation caviar if you have
I
to
love
with your
it though,
dino
'cause it's
nuggets.
like bougie and basic.
That's what I'm saying. Sweet
No,
and
this is-
salty, bougie,
right.
basic. So, Steven, all right, question for you real quick. It's last minute. You get invited to a Super Bowl party and you have to do something. You got a little bit of time, but you don't have much. What's kind of a go-to for you? And then if that's accessible for us lay people in the kitchen, great. But if not, what's something that we could do that's last minute, but is gonna at least satisfy?
I tell you, the one thing that's hot during any kind of party is dips. And so dips is one of those things that I don't care what your background is, where you're coming from, who you're rooting for, dips is it. So I always tell people if you're gonna, you could always do a vegetarian, which is always spinach and artichoke dip, but change up the cream cheese that you put in. Maybe put some Boursin in it rather than traditional. Put some wine in it, put some roasted garlic. But if you really want to jazz it up, I'm just saying you got to get some Pop Secret seasoning in your life.
There it
Shameless
is.
plug for that, but you got to do some of that in there. But then I always say buffalo chicken dip is one of those things. I don't care where, what sports team you are rooting for. Once again, is buffalo chicken dip. But I always say do grilled pita. I always say just change it up. Do a little grilled pita besides just regular tortilla chips. Grill some pita bread off. Brush it with some oil. Your favorite seasoning. I recommend Pop Secret seasoning. Just saying, throw some of that on it. Slap your mama 2 times and watch the game.
Let's go.
I love that you said slap your mama because that's one of my favorite seasonings. Is that simple slap your mama seasoning? I love that seasoning.
Back it up 3 steps. You had me at Buffalo wings.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up wings. What is I'm a crispy wing guy myself, and I fried chicken wings to get through college. Basically, I say to get through college. It was my side gig, but anyway, and not everybody's got a deep fryer at home. Crank it up to 375. Drop them in raw. 13 minutes, or when they're floating, they're out.
Oh man, listen to him.
Listen, but what is the easiest way for just Joe Schmo or Plain Jane in their kitchen to get good crispy wings?
Yes, I'm gonna tell you right now. Get yourself a baking sheet pan and a cooling rack. Okay, you want to take your wings, bone-in wings. You want to toss in some oil, some seasonings. Put your oven on 425 degrees. 1 layer on the cooling rack that's resting on the sheet tray. The key is you don't want that chicken that's sitting in the grease and everything just getting soggy. You want all that grease and fat to drain off of it. You want the air to get on it and crisp up that skin really nice. Give it 30 minutes, flip it over. Then give it another 15 minutes, take it out, toss it in some sauce or some more seasoning. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have a good night.
So, Chris, if I'm tossing you some wings in a bowl and your job is to sauce, you got to sauce me up here. What are you going to bring? What are you going to bring to me? Are you going to stay traditional with a classic buffalo sauce? Just a little bit of 1-to-1 butter and hot until you like the way it feels. Or are you gonna flex on me here a little bit? What are you doing to sauce your wings?
So every chance I get, I'll probably take it extra, a little bit of goat cheese, some soy sauce, some honey. So you get a little bit of spicy, sweet, minted chili. Then the honey's gonna accent that sweetness a little more, and you'll be in love.
Hot sauce and honey is the base of that, and then you get that little bit of chili in there for the kick. Son.
I think we're having a signal
Yeah.
issue here.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
that's
we-
another important thing for that setup.
Shit, get in there. Bring it full circle. Bring it on home.
Check that Wi-Fi signal. The worst thing. I have been to parties where we were supposed, it was a viewing party and something that they didn't check the signal or something. Too many bodies blocking it, and dang.
That's so true, because I know I'll be streaming it. I don't have cable, so I'll be
check that signal. Yeah.
and, I will be creating my 10,000th fake email to watch it on Fox. This weekend. I mean, so.
How many of your kids' email addresses are floating around out there?
Oh, you know what? My kids have way too many email addresses right now. So.
Better that than a credit card.
Exactly. Real fast, since we do have you talking TVs and signals again, Shay, with the size of TVs today, how big is there such thing as too big? These obviously this too small, but is there such thing as too big TV?
I see your face.
Yeah, come on, bud.
Yes, there is. And that's so a lot of people think there's not, but there is something. It can be too big for the room. And what will happen is that you'll actually lose some of the view of the game or whatever it is that you're watching on the TV if that screen is too wide. And so again, that measurement I gave you applies. If you can't get the distance from your TV, it's probably too big for that space, and you are losing some of the range, the field of view.
That makes perfect sense. I was thinking back to the days of Rent-A-Center where people would go out and get a TV just for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But they'd go and get the biggest one when they'd have a 10x10 living room, and it just wouldn't make any sense. So what you said makes perfect sense.
Oh, good.
So thank you for that.
And I'm all for us going back to the food. Chris, we're having a problem with what you're trying to tell us, and I think you mentioned honey, because I have honey.
I heard honey and hot sauce somewhere mixing in there.
And there was one other thing. Honey, hot sauce, and something else. All together, I guess.
No one Chris probably said caviar. No one Chris.
Just dribble it on some chicken nuggets.
Probably.
All right, real quick, last question, at least from me, for everybody going around the room. And we got Kansas City, we got Philadelphia, you got barbecue, you got cheesesteaks. And you got one meal to choose for the game, and it's either barbecue or cheesesteak. What are you going with, Steven?
Man, you know what? I'm gonna have to go with a Philly cheesesteak. I'm gonna have to tell you that. And my reason is because you got to babysit those ribs. You can't walk away. And listen, two things that you can't do in my household. You can't mess up chicken wings, and you can't mess up ribs, because we're gonna talk about you at every cookout. Because the minute you walk over to that grill and try to do something, we're gonna tell you to step away.
Steven, we might be family, son. Shay, what are you doing? Cheesesteak or ribs?
I would say in my family, we actually are a gumbo family, which would be great for this Super Bowl because of New Orleans.
Yeah.
Given that nod to the New Orleans culture. But if it comes to ribs or the cheesesteak, we're definitely going ribs. We're going ribs. Doesn't matter who has to babysit it. It's going to be my brother, but we're doing ribs.
All right, we're 1-1 Shay. All right, see, Chris, what you got? Ribs or cheesesteak for your Super Bowl meal? We're gonna get Chris. We're gonna get
one for ribs.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you check up for one for ribs, two for a cheesesteak. One for ribs, two for a cheesesteak. Put it in the comment section too. Andrew, what are you hitting? You hitting the ribs or the cheesesteak for the Super Bowl?
I'd probably be closer to the ribs because I do love a good barbecue sauce flavor. I like those are the flavors that I like because I like the barbecue, like array of flavors.
Yeah. We all know about your advanced palate all of a sudden with your Rochambeau interior design, whatever the hell it was. I'm with you, Steven. Give me a cheesesteak, just something handy there that I can walk around and
so we need a tiebreaker.
Yell at the TV. So that's what we'll see if we can get Chris's vote in there. Cheesesteak or ribs before we kick it back to the boys.
Chris, do something. Give us a something. Ribs, nod.
He's going ribs. He's going ribs.
You heard ribs? You heard ribs? Okay.
I heard ribs.
I'm taking Chris
Yeah.
out my phone right now.
Yeah. Steven, DM me. I'll DM me. You and I can hang out and have some cheesesteaks.
I'm with you.
All right, Andrew, land the plane.
Well, before we land the
Oh,
plane,
sorry.
speaking of the cities, we got to get your guys' Super Bowl predictions here. Shay, I know you said you're being forced to be a reluctant Philly fan. I get it. But if you had to pick, who are you rooting for, and who do you think is going to win? And are they the same? They could be.
Yeah, I do think it would be much more interesting if the Eagles win. Just for the sake of the game. I'm so tired of all the arguments about the refs and everything. So yeah, I think it'll just be much more interesting going into next season also if the Eagles win.
I couldn't agree more. Steven, what about you?
Man, I'm a Saquon Barkley fan. You know, his whole story, everything he's done this year, this would be the cherry on the top for all the great plays this man has done. And just everything that he's done on the field, I am with the Eagles. Fly high.
Fly high, indeed. Saquon's going to have himself a day tonight, I think. So I'm excited to see that. I still think the audio is a little weird for Chris there, but maybe he can sneak it in. Just Chiefs or Eagles, Chris, what do you think?
One
Or
for
maybe
Eagles,
not.
two for
Blink twice.
I think I heard Eagles. Bud, where are you landing with this game tonight?
I'm with the University of Georgia North Campus. Give me the Eagles and the 6 dogs that they have playing on their defense. Fly Eagles.
Well, you know what? To keep this interesting, I'm going to answer for Chris, and Chris is, for the sake of this, going to be cheering for the Chiefs so that we can have someone that's different. So we're going to just say that because this game should be a good game tonight. And now, in order to watch the great game, you know how to set up your furniture. You know how to set up your TV. This is going to be my own personal advice. If you have another room close by, set up some folding chairs in that room so all the people that want to talk through the whole game, they have another place they can go sit and get out of the way. So you know how to do that. You know what to eat now, and you know what to drink because, you got that covered on your own. You don't need us for that. Before we end here real fast, Shay, tell us, where can people find you? What do you got going on? This is your chance to promote it and let everyone know about you.
Yeah, if they want more tips on how to set up your home theater or tips from the players' homes, I'm on the Blonde Blitz podcast at That Sports Podcast Network. And then personally, you can find me at Shay Holland Official on socials.
Fantastic. Steven, what about you?
Oh, I'm not blonde. That's because of the host.
I love it.
Oh, I love it. So you can find me on all social media, Stephen C. Beatty, but you can also find my incredible seasoning line called Pop Secret Seasoning. Also, that's out there. So go ahead and please check it out. Thank you guys for having me. We're going to have a great game today.
Can we find that Pop Secret in like most stores, or is it accessible in grocery stores, I should say?
Right now we're strictly Midwest, so go ahead and check out the website, the e-commerce, popsecretseasoning.com.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you. And we had Chris back for a second. It looks like we lost him again. But if you don't know, Chris has been on the Food Network, on Chopped, and from what I can tell, I wanted to ask him about it, but obviously the tech
He's
issue.
teasing Bobby Flay on that website.
He's
I
teasing Bobby
can't wait to hear
Flay.
about it.
And he's teasing what looks like a new show as well, something called 24 in 24, Last Chef Standing. So that sounds exciting because I love competition series. I'm a sucker for them. So can't wait to see that. We'll definitely check that out. So Chris, I know you're gone, but thank you for joining us. And all of you, thank you for joining us. And I hope you learned something new. I know we did. But without further ado, enjoy the rest of the show. And enjoy the game tonight as I fumble over landing this plane like I always do.
Wow.
If you watch Divots and Pivots on Tuesday nights, you know this is how I end shows. So thank you, and let's kick it back to the rest of the show.
In a world where there are drives and dives, skulls and lulls, putts and ruts, chips and dips, there is Divots and Pivots. Where a duck makes luck and a butt talks low about anything and everything. Two forces collide to make Oh, fuck it. They just like hearing themselves talk. This is Divots and Pivots.
Hey yo, the lies told that you never make it. Hopeless, so it seems. Eyes closed, Kansas open wide to embrace your dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like lies to sin.
Check out Divots and Pivots on Tuesday night.
Those guys are nuts.
Killer Duke and Bud, we appreciate you. And of course, as always, Shay Holland, big contributor to the Blonde Blitz, and we always appreciate her great insight on how to set up your room and to watch the game. You can check out a couple of the Blonde Blitz episodes. Like, I was amazed, like, my TV's too high. I didn't even know. I learned that from Shay. So some great tips from her. And also Chef Steven, go to Pop Secret, the e-commerce Pop Secret website, and go get yourself some Pop Secret. We appreciate you, Chef Steven, and of course Chef Chris. Sorry you had some difficulties in there, but some great food tips for us for today. So let's go round robin real quick before we get to our next segment. Chris, since you're back joining us, let's go to you first on this one. What are you eating today? Oh, you're
muted again.
Yeah, I do that to myself. First of all, is there a better show than Bud and LeDuc? I mean, it's golf. Even if you don't like golf,
nuts. And I love it.
They are entertaining, man. Bud is entertaining. Those two together are phenomenal. We do a separate chip and dip for each quarter around here. So you got to get on it, right? Because it's coming. And once that quarter's up, it's gone. It ain't coming back. My wife's weird about that. I'm like, hey, hold up. Second quarter was the best. Bring it back. So, hey, the only time we've ever brought them all back is during overtime. So you kind of root for overtime if there was a good second quarter chip dip and then there was a bum fourth. Come on, OT. Let's bring it back. And then, of course, we do the normal 18 effing crock pots lined all up around the kitchen. You know, just name it. Just name what's in there. Queso, little smokies, all that.
Yeah.
There's some wings in there. Probably have some burn-ins, I'm sure, here and there. But
Love
yeah,
it.
that's how we'll be rolling.
Brian, I know you already in the comments mentioned your wife's chili. Is there anything else on the menu today?
Chili, bean dip, cookies, chocolate, more chili, more bean dip. Maybe a few extra things, depends on. And my wife's laying down right now because her sinuses are kicking her tail, and I hate that. Welcome to Indiana weather. But yeah, we had talked about that for the last week, and I gave her the best answer I could think of. Ooh, but then finally came up with
Indeed. Yeah. You know, it's funny is that we had a discussion over here about what, it was either obviously the week prior with the NFC Championship, I made like some upscale cheesesteaks where, it wasn't thinly. I did some ribeyes, and I'm, not so thinly cut, some nice thick cuts of ribeye. So it's kind of more of a steak sandwich. And then I basically just kind of set up a bar and everyone kind of make what they wanted. Apparently that was such a big hit that we got to do it again today. I was trying to push for a New Orleans-based menu. I wanted shrimp po' boys is what I wanted to do today. But we couldn't negate the Philly feel today. So everybody and the kids wanted the steak sandwiches. So that's what we're running with today. And then obviously, as you mentioned, the dips. My wife does a great buffalo chicken dip. Some great dips away from Chef Steven. She actually makes some really good guac too, so we're obviously going to do that, and the French onion dip, the classic stuff as well. So I'm excited. It's almost like Thanksgiving up in here. Very good American holiday is the Super Bowl. That's all I got.
I might even throw a couple of burgers on because 2 years ago when the Eagles played, when the Cowboys played the 49ers in the divisional. Of course, I was nervous because I had a whole ton of Cowboy fans breathing down my neck. And my wife calmed me down. She says, don't worry, Niners are going to win. Yes, honey, I know that, but you don't know these Cowboy fans. She says, oh, yes, I do. So I was nervous until George Kittle made that catch, which I still can't believe. Jody looked at me and she says, "Okay, they're winning. Can you throw some burgers on?" Absolutely. So I threw a couple of burgers on, a little bit of garlic salt, flip them over, put some cheese on it. Snowman's Burgers. Simple as it gets. I'm learning to cook a lot more too, especially me having to give up fast food so I can live a lot longer. Even though I still love food, I told my wife I'd start this month in weaning myself off of coffee, off of fast food and junk food and all that stuff. Because she kind of wants me around, and I kind of want to be around for her. So,
that's a nice thing for sure. It's nice to be around at least.
You hang out and watch Bud and LeDuc, and they will hook you up with the recipes.
That's all I need.
Throughout the regular golf, they're food people, and they're good at it. Real
good. I gotta start getting some good cooking going. So my wife and I can both get healthy.
Awesome. Well, listen, we talked about the teams. We've given you some good food advice. Now we want to help you make some money. We're going to go first with some fantasy. So we're going to do a DFS Super Bowl lineup for you next. I'm actually with my boys from TSS Fantasy, and we brought in Keith Fleming from Fantasy and Focus. So we're going to get your pens and paper out, because we're going to give you some great advice for an ultimate DFS lineup. Shameless plug, go to Underdog Fantasy, use our promo code TSS. We'll double that deposit up to $100, and we're going to make you some money. So let's check it out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, continuing the Super Bowl bonanza that we got set up for you, we're going to teach you today how to make some money on a DFS Super Bowl lineup. We got our boys in from TSS Fantasy, our boy LeDuc, and of course Justin, and then we got the man of the hour, the DFS king, Keith Fleming. Welcome into the studio, my friend.
Man, I didn't know I was royalty. This is awesome. I need to come on your show more often. I'm doing great. I'm a little depressed because it's the end of the football season, which, not gonna lie, that kind of sucks. Because I don't know about you guys. I don't count the UFL or XFL or whatever the hell they're calling it these days. But I'm excited to see this game. I actually think it's going to be competitive, and we all know the Chiefs will win in the final seconds, and everybody's going to be mad. So.
The XFL isn't real again until they bring He Hate Me back. So
that's right.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Bring it up. All right, Keith. Well, I'm going to go to you first, since you're the man of the hour, the king, as we called it. So we're going to bring up your Super Bowl Super Bowl DFS lineup. Let everybody know. And I even got you guys set up with your favorite teams. So we got Keith, of course, as coach of the Falcons set up here. Man, he's looking good out there.
My wife loved this picture. She goes, "Why can't you look like that in real life?" I go, maybe one day.
Love it. I love it. All right, my friend, talk about your Super Bowl DFS lineup.
So obviously, with it being a one-game slate, you need to be unique. You need to be different. It's not going to do you any good, even like in a single entry to do a lineup that everybody's going to be sharing. And there's really two ways to do that. Either one is you're going to, put an expensive player as your captain and then have to hit a home run with a lot of the lower price players, or you can do what I am trying, which is putting somebody in at my captain that is both low priced, they'll be low owned, hope that they go off. And then that way, as you can see, it's allowed me to put in, several other expensive guys. And that's Noah Gray, not the tight end everybody's expecting, not the guy, dating Taylor Swift, but I think he's got a good chance to have a good game. This is someone who scored 10 plus points 4 times this season. He scored 4 more points 11 times. So, he's going to get you something. You're not going to get a goose egg. And Philly's been overall good versus tight ends. They're 9th on DraftKings versus tight ends, but the last 2 games, very concerning. The Commanders and Rams tight ends combined on 31 targets for 23 receptions for over 200 yards. And I think it's safe to assume that if you're the Eagles defense, what is the first thing you're going to try to do? And that's take away Patrick Mahomes security blanket. That's Travis Kelce. And with that and the fact that outside of Xavier Worthy, the wide receivers of Kansas City are just not getting any consistent target volume. I think that gives Gray an amazing opportunity to be a surprise breakout player this week. I also love you can get him at an alternate receiving number of 40 yards or more at almost 8-1 on DK Sportsbook. So then Saquon Barkley, again, if you're going to put more of an expensive player at the top, I think to be different, you kind of have to leave Barkley out. But with me going with Gray, I can't do it. I mean, this is a Chiefs defense that is arguably the best rush defense he's faced this entire season. But I mean, come on, Barkley is just outrageous. He's 40 yards away from breaking Terrell Davis's single season total rush yards, including the regular season and the postseason. And so far, he's got 442 yards at almost 7 yards a carry and scored 5 touchdowns. And Philadelphia, Barkley's rushing yards per attempt is higher than Philadelphia's passing yards per attempt on the season. So I think they're going to lean on him. The other Eagles I got in here, AJ Brown, who has the potential to have a monster game. If I was going to put an expensive player as my captain, this would be the guy. I know the postseason started rough. He was reading books on the sideline, only caught 3 passes in the first 2 games, but he went out last week and did what he does, which is just be a monster. He had 6 catches for 96 yards and a score, which is ironically the exact same stat line he had when the Eagles faced the Chiefs 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. But the big thing is the Chiefs defense run a ton of man defense, top 10 in the league, and they also press a lot with their corners. And A.J. Brown, being a grown-ass man, just destroys both among wide receivers versus man this year. 5th highest target rate and the 8th most fantasy points per target. I do think Philadelphia needs to establish the pass. That way Kansas City can't stack the box, and then you'll see Barkley have a big game. The other Eagle player I got is Dallas Goedert. This is a combination of Kansas City has been awful versus tight ends this year, allowing almost 70 yards per game to tight ends, just over 6 receptions. And even in the first 2 postseason games against Buffalo and Houston, not exactly teams that target their tight ends a lot, they gave up 8 catches for 85 yards. Goddard has now caught 4 more passes in 4 straight. He saw 24 targets in that span, and he's averaging almost 14 points per game just in the postseason on DraftKings. And then I'm going to round it out with 2 Chiefs players. How could I leave off Patrick Mahomes? He is absolutely absurd. It's extremely disrespectful that Mahomes is $2,000 less than Saquon Barkley. And he's also cheaper than Jalen Hurts with this dude's history. He's thrown 5 passing touchdowns with 0 turnovers in his last 2 Super Bowl appearances. We know if the game's close, his passer rating and everything is just absurd in the 4th quarter and overtime. And then, oh, by the way, last week he had his highest point total of the entire year on DraftKings, scoring over 30 points versus Buffalo. In the first 14 games, he only scored 20 points or more twice. He's all of a sudden scored 20 points or more in 3 of 4. I trust Patrick Mahomes. And then probably my most owned guy, no matter what kind of lineup I'm building, is Xavier Worthy at 8K. I mentioned he is the only wide receiver on the Chiefs seeing significant volume. And he's another guy, started slow, did not catch more than 4 passes in his first 11 games. Since then, he's caught 5 passes or more in the last 7. In the 2 postseason games, he's averaging at 8 targets / touches per game, 5.5 receptions, almost 70 yards. He scored a touchdown. And then the big deal is Cooper DeJean, who is the Eagles slot corner. He's been having some real issues in coverage, and Xavier Worthy leads the Chiefs and snaps in the slot so far in this postseason. Even more importantly, he has 14 more than any other wide receiver. It's basically him or Travis Kelce a majority of the time. And the other problem is the Eagles really struggle with tackling, yards after the catch. It's been running backs overall that have had these big explosive runs. We know the Chiefs don't have any running backs that can do that. No offense to Kareem Hunt and those guys. But I think Xavier Worthy will, whether it be rush attempts, which he's had at least 2 in 4 of his last 5, or it be passes behind the line of scrimmage. They're going to try to get him in space and let him do what he does. But I hope this lineup is fruitful for everyone. Don't copy it too much because I've got it entered a bunch of places. And I hope everybody kicks ass with their DK lineup for the Super Bowl.
I love it. That's why we got the king in. That's how he starts us off. Great stats. Absolutely love it. All right, let's go to the king of our Sunday show. Maybe we'll just call you the Prince. Prince LeDuc.
He demoted you, man.
For some reason, the AI would not make you a coach, so you still represent your Patriots, though. But let's talk about your ultimate DFS.
Yes, they didn't need to make me a coach because the Patriots have a real coach finally. So we didn't need to fill that spot anymore. But yeah, so I did. Keith, you mentioned it. You either got to go the most expensive in the captain slot or a long shot, and so I went the most expensive because to me, Saquon Barkley, this year's Offensive Player of the Year, is going to hold it down. I don't care how good the defense is. Saquon Barkley should be able to get his. But it doesn't stop me from thinking that the Chiefs are going to do everything they can to try to force the Eagles to throw the ball and try to take the ball out of Barkley's hands. I still think he's going to go for over 100 yards because that's what he does, which is why he's in my captain spot. But Jalen Hurts also being in my lineup here at 10-4 is that's there because the Chiefs are going to make them throw the ball. And I think the Eagles have enough weapons to cover up for Hurts' deficiencies when it comes to passing the ball. Between Smith, between A.J. Brown, you mentioned Dallas Goedert. I love the Dallas Goedert play. That's why he's in my lineup as well, because it just makes too much sense, not only for this matchup, but just the way they use him in general. He's not the tight end, the type of tight end that just pops up in the red zone or pops up for maybe 3 targets a game. He's a consistent part of this passing offense, and it seems to be almost a safety for Jalen Hurts when he needs to get things going. They get it to Goddard, so Goddard's going to be in there for me, and then A.J. Brown for the big playability as well from the Eagles. For the Chiefs, though, I did go the lower road. I stayed away from the more popular owned guys, Mahomes, Kelsey, Worthy for that matter. I did go with Noah Gray like you did, except obviously not on my captain spot for all the same reasons. You laid it out perfectly for Noah Gray, why he's going to be good this game, because the Chiefs will pull something out. It's what they do. They're going to find a way to get little wrinkles involved. Noah Gray is the perfect wrinkle in this offense for them. And so is Juju Smith-Schuster. We've seen him pop up at least once in the last handful of games here in the playoffs. I think that continues. At $2,000, I don't need him to do much. I just need him to do, maybe one catch for 30 yards is really kind of all it's going to need for him there. If he gets in the end zone, fantastic. But this is where I'm going with this lineup. And I'm leaning the Eagles for the heavy hitters because I have to go from a game script standpoint for these showdown lineups. In the past, I've learned from my mistakes of trying to play it too balanced where, to cover my bases, I got to have three guys, and it's got to be, all guys that are going to be just okay. And you never win that way. You just don't. You're always middle of the road. You got to take shots. You're either going to win in glory or lose in flames. I'm hoping I win in glory. We'll see. We'll see how much I win. We'll see if I beat you, Keith, because that's all that matters. I'm not going to try to throw stats at you because, Keith, you just threw every stat that we have on all these players out there. I'm going to tell you all my feels of why I'm playing these guys. And, Saquon Barkley to the house. Let's go. Let's carry me to a championship for the Super Bowl as well because, like Kamish said, I own the regular season against these clowns.
I don't know about owning. I was a little close. I got close there for a little bit at the end.
Let's be honest. I got off to a really hot start, and then I went really cold.
The Duke won, I believe, in the first 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
We were all playing catch up at that point. So, absolutely. He was basically giving us a tutorial how to do this. That was kind of how it went. All right.
Like the students, they did it.
Yeah, you're right. Justin, with your flowing locks. I couldn't get you as a coach either, so I apologize. But look at these guns on this guy. Ooh, wee.
Wow.
He's poking out and everything. Got the bandana on. I mean, dang. You gotta show this to wifey because you're
new profile pic.
Hey, the worst part of this, though, why I would never want to put this up, is it's number 4, and Jake Moody is the worst kicker on the planet. You can go kick.
Oh my God, that's right. You made him the kicker.
Looking at the number.
With guns like that, who cares?
You made LeDuc the 3rd string tight end that Tom Brady would pass the ball to in the Super Bowl.
I didn't even see the number.
The kicker that misses 3 in a row from 40. Like,
sorry, you made me the coach of the Falcons. Is there a worse, job in sports? So
it's the AF.
All right, settle down there, Arthur Smith. Let's get to the real numbers here. Let's get to the real betting picks here. So I was not as diverse as you guys. I'm not gonna lie. I stuck to the bread and butter type of guys. I went with the Chiefs defense. You just know that there's gonna be something happen there. Chiefs defense just coached too well. They're gonna block a kick. They're gonna get a fumble. Something's gonna happen. AJ Brown, I really love the play on AJ Brown. I think he's actually spot on that. If there's anybody who's going to be able to break man coverage against Trent McDuffie, it's going to be AJ Brown. This guy is just too hard to guard, and he's going to be needed by Jalen Hurts. Kareem Hunt, I actually think Kareem Hunt is a huge value at 64. I mean, listen, the secret sauce to the Chiefs for the past 3 Super Bowl wins have been a good run game. I mean, you look at the last 3 guys they've had. Damian Williams won the MVP. He had over 100 yards and a touchdown. He also caught the ball. Isaiah Pacheco, in both appearances, he's either had over 90 yards and 6 catches, or he's had 70 yards and a touchdown. That's money. That's money in my books. I look at that, I go, okay, so there's the game plan. They're going to constantly be trying to get that run game going. And unfortunately, Isaiah Pacheco is about as reliable as a Jeep Grand Cherokee on its second transmission at this point. So I'm not going to go with him. I'm not going to bottom barrel with that one. Call a lemon, and let's get on with the next one. And then Jalen Hurts, I think he's going to be the real star of this. Like he was the star when he had his Super Bowl. I mean, Jalen Hurts didn't win it, but he definitely outplayed Mahomes. There's so many ways for him to score. I know Mahomes gets a little tricky every now and then, but the tush push always works. And I could see this guy getting a couple touchdowns on the ground, maybe a couple on through the air. Devonta Smith, I really just like that I had enough money to get Devonta Smith and Xavier Worthy. I like locking those guys in. Devonta really does seem like a game changer because he's got that crisp route running that could give the second corner some serious problems, or whoever's guarding him if they want to put the nickel on him. Whoever's guarding him, I think, is going to have some serious issues. And then Xavier Worthy, that big play mentality. Like they're always trying to work him out of the backfield. They're trying to throw him the deep ball. He's always going to be getting touches. You're almost guaranteed he's going to get 5 touches. It's just if he has enough room to make the breakaway speed for that touchdown. If he does it, you're swimming in it. And Keith, I will be stealing your lineup. So guess what? When we both win, it's okay. We'll both share that $500,000. Don't worry about it, bro. I'll throw you a little extra 10 for just making me a champion at that point.
You're a good man.
Don't worry.
The Kareem Hunt, I just want to add to, I think that's such a good play. Some of my favorite props are Hunt, anytime touchdown, plus 135. Remember, the Chiefs are not like the Eagles, the Bills. They will not QB sneak Patrick Mahomes when they get on the goal line. He had that knee injury a couple of years ago, and they literally have not ran that play since. And Kareem Hunt is getting all the red zone touches. He was very close to being in my lineup, and I really like him both for DFS lineups, and then there's a lot of props. Like I think it's Barkley and Hunt to combine for 200 yards. You can get that at like 3-1. Like there's some really good prop bets out there on Hunt. I think that's a great call.
I like it. And I liked it so much I got Hunt in my lineup. I'll be the coach of the
Look
Dolphins.
at that guy.
Look at them guns, indeed. My lineup is very similar to LeDuc's in the fact that I got Barkley as the winner. I think if we want to talk about prop bets, I mean, I'm all in on Barkley being MVP of the Super Bowl. Being that I feel like he should have got MVP during the regular damn season. But I think he's going to earn it here. Now, again, as Keith mentioned, as all you've mentioned, the Chiefs' run D is tough. It's very tough. But it's Saquon Barkley at the end of the day. So I think not much needs to be said there. I did go with I have no quarterback in this, believe it or not, but I did go with Smith and Brown as the receivers because the one thing about I feel like this matchup, a lot of people are expecting a lot of scoring. I don't think there's going to be a ton. Both these defenses are legit, and especially the Eagle side. But if there is one bugaboo in these defenses, it's the Chiefs secondary. They've been had all season long, and I do think one of these guys is going to get it. A.J. Brown, I think is the guy. But I'm not going to dismiss Devonta Smith getting a couple of deep balls either. So I like both of those. And then you got to go Goddard. I think, Keith mentioned it earlier about the Chiefs. I think they were like 27th against tight ends on DraftKings or something to that effect. Pretty low anyway. So you got to play Goddard in here as well. So I think at the end of the day, you want to get some of these Eagles receivers, some of these passing threats, because that's where there's been a little bit of chink in the armor with these defenses. And then I did go with Smith-Schuster because, Keith mentioned it, LeDuc, you've mentioned it. There's not a lot of consistency when it comes to the Chiefs receivers. We know, of course, they're going to go to the tight ends, obviously, but there has not been anyone really consistent other than when Justin mentioned. They have been trying to get the ball to Worthy a lot. I mean, even I was watching the Chiefs, and the Bills with my son, and literally every time Worthy got the ball, all I could say was, God, he's fast. Like, you can just see the difference on the field, how fast this kid is. So it's not beyond him to make a big play. But I think, like LeDuc, you mentioned, they've been trying to get Juju in there. They're looking for those wrinkles. And I think he's that guy that could throw a little wrinkle in there for that Eagles secondary. And then, listen, at the end of the day, I did not want to. I was tempted to go Harrison Butker, like, instead of Kareem Hunt. Like, I just did not want to.
You didn't want to get canceled. That's why you didn't put him in your lineup.
I saw Justin put a defense in, and that was actually kind of close to that too. So I started to lean maybe Eagles D, or maybe, like you said, Chiefs D, because they're always making some kind of play. But then I just went back and said, you know what? I kind of leaned on what you were saying, Keith. Like, they do run the football consistently. The Chiefs do, and Hunt has been their guy. And the one thing I will say, this is my son's first year playing fantasy, and he had the guy who's was playing Rico Dowdle, and they were playing the Eagles. And I said, you don't need to worry about that. The Eagles just shut him down. Rico Dowdle had a pretty decent day against the Eagles, and the reason why is because he ran hard. Like, he was running, and that's something Kareem Hunt does. So if there is anybody in the running back position on the Chiefs side, I'm going to go Kareem Hunt. Justin, you mentioned Pacheco. I don't think it's just quite right. Not quite back from that injury still. So even though he's still got a couple weeks to prep up, I just don't think he's going to be that guy. I like Kareem Hunt. I think he's a good play, especially at the value there as well. So there's my lineup, and I'm sticking to. I'm not even going to say I'm going against Keith because it's just going to be embarrassing at that point. All right, well, before we head out, let's go around the room real quick. Let's get some predictions. We'll go to Keith, our guest. Let's go to you first, my friend. Who wins this game today?
Oh, man. I do want to mention, too, because, we were all talking about Barkley and how good the Chiefs defense is, which they have been. But the last 2 weeks, Joe Mixon, almost 5 yards per carry. James Cook, 6.5 yards per carry. No offense to either one of those guys. James Cook's a bulldog, go Dogs. But they're not Saquon Barkley. I want the Eagles to win so bad. They got all these Georgia players. Jalen Carter's one of my favorite players in the world. Still mad Falcons didn't draft him, but I learned my lesson last year, okay? I did. I was the guy touting the Ravens going into the AFC title game, and I watched the Chiefs do what they did. I mean, they've now won 17 straight one-score games. They've won 12 of them this year. They have the advantage of the refs. They have the Taylor Swift good mojo. They got everything going for them. And I'm hoping that maybe this will jinx them into finally losing. But I think it's pretty dumb to pick against the Chiefs right now from a gambling perspective. Now, rooting, whatever. But if you're putting money against the Chiefs, like, what are we doing? They're going for their third straight Super Bowl. This is already this group's fifth Super Bowl in 6 seasons. It's outrageous. So I think the Chiefs get it done late, 24-21. And again, one of my favorite prop bets. Eagles win first half, Chiefs win game plus 750. It's happened the last 2 Super Bowls. Chiefs have done that 4 times in the regular season. And let's be honest, the NFL, maybe it is rigged. It seems like that's what they do every time as the Chiefs get down. They have been down double figures or at least 10 points in all 4 Super Bowls. They won 3 of 4, including against Philadelphia 2 years ago. So I'm going to take the Chiefs 24-21.
Ooh, I like that prop bet there. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with you at everything you just said, quite frankly. But what do you think? Let's go to you, Justin. What do you think? Who wins this one, and why do you think
Well, I'm one of those guys that, you know, I'm hoping for a natural disaster to hit the stadium. I'm hoping for everything to happen, but somebody to win, because I don't really like the Eagles, and I damn for sure do not like the Chiefs. But you know what? I am going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say this. I think every championship reign has to come to an end. I think we're building up, like he said, 17 in a row. 1 score lead. I think we're building this up to where it's going to fall. And I think, you know, it's time to let somebody else be champion again. And I think it's time. I think the Eagles have the perfect formula. Literally, they have everything that the Chiefs have except for Patrick Mahomes as quarterback. They got the great defense. They got the great general manager who's always bringing in bodies that he somehow finds. Like you said, Jalen Carter, how the hell did he fall to 9? How did he fall there? Like, this guy is an absolute monster. And I think it's going to be one of those 1-score games, but I think everything's going to finally come to a collapsing head, and I think everybody's going to finally get reset. And the world and the ether is going to be back to it. I know Philly's going to be champions, which is absolutely almost the worst thing in the world. I mean, like, I live so close to those freaking guys, I can smell the town already burning down. It's either the town burning down or the firemen trying to put it out with their.
It's like, what's worse for the city? They win or lose, because they're going to riot either way.
Yeah. And you know what? I hope they burn down the city for the good reason, because I hope they win the Super Bowl. I'm going to predict here it's going to be 21-17 Eagles, and I think it's going to be a tush push in the end zone to seal it.
Ooh, I like that. What do you say, LeDuc? Who wins and why?
So I'm going to go with the Eagles here, just because they've been the more consistent team all year. As far as when I say consistency here, I don't mean in the general term that we always use consistency. I mean, they've consistently looked like the top of the league team all year. That's the part that even in their I guess you can't call it a slump, but in their I guess the middle of the season where they struggled a little bit and didn't look great, they still looked better than 98% of the league. And that you can't go against that. I think they have all the factors. They got the defense. I think their offense is good enough. I think Jalen Hurts can put his big boy hat on for this game and own this tonight. And the Chiefs are going to put up a fight. They're not going to go down easy. It's what the Chiefs do. You don't expect that. I think this is going to be something along the lines of like, it's going to be a weird score I'm going to throw out here, but 32-30. And I think CJ Gardner is going to bat down a 2-point conversion pass for the Chiefs in the end zone to seal the game and end this thing for the Eagles. And yes, we will be able to see the smoke here in New Hampshire from Philly.
Do you guys know, to your point, the last time Jalen Hurts had a pass attempt in the second half with his team trailing by more than 8 points?
I do not know that many stats.
Week 4. To your point, that is how good Philadelphia has been, just basically since their 2-2 start. That they haven't been down, more than 8 points basically the entire, third, fourth of this season. So they've been the best team all year.
Well, we've seen them be able to not only play with a lead and hold teams off, but we've also seen them, like, when they do that, even when a team starts to get hot a little bit, they have been able to turn it back on, to push their foot down on the throat a little bit to get a little bit far enough away again. They did it to the Commanders last week. The Commanders, they started 2 weeks ago. They started coming back, and we were like, okay, this is going to be a game that you goes, nah, we sat back, we caught our breath, we're back. And not many teams can go from taking it easy and cruise control to going back up to full speed. The Eagles have proven they can do that, and that's where teams fail against the Chiefs. They think they have the lead, they think they've done it, and they count their win before it's over. I don't think the Eagles will do that.
I think it's almost, to kind of throw it into your realm, LeDuc, I think it is more of a Tiger Woods effect, if you will, where it's getting close to the end, and if you're close, and now you got the Chiefs, and you already know all the backstory, and then that every little mistake is just that more crucial, and then people start making them. So yeah, I'm with you on that. But if you ever watch TSS Fantasy, you know I don't like to sleep on a couch, so I am definitely going with the Eagles. But in real talk, I think the difference in this football game is that Eagles defense. Period. They've been good and consistent all season long. We go over the stats every Friday. Every Friday, it was top 10 every week. That Eagles defense was top 10 in something in every position. So that's what I think is the biggest difference in this game. That's why I said I don't think I've heard a lot of like big scores. You guys didn't really kill it with the scores, but I've heard a lot of big scores. I just don't see that happening with both of these defenses the way they are. So I'm going to go 28-20 because I think the Eagles win, and I think they actually win a little comfortably, believe it or not. So that's going to be but every scenario that I just heard, I could totally see happening.
For sure.
All right. So, Keith, before we close out, let everyone know where they can follow, subscribe, and get all your great content, my friend.
Well, again, I appreciate always coming on this show. You guys are like the most fun network, and I always have a blast coming on here and talking with you guys. You can find me on Twitter /X or whatever the hell they're calling it now, at Keith Fleming, KeithFleming. And for however long TikTok is still around, you can follow me on that at the same. It's at Keith Fleming with 2 M's, but then at the end, DFS. I do, the DFS work for Fantasy Six Pack and Fantasy and Frames for football. I will be doing golf content for Fantasy Six Pack. That'll include a podcast every Tuesday and an article covering, golf bets and DFS lineups. And then every Wednesday I go on ESPN Northwest Florida and talk football during football season. And then we transition to golf for the next few months. It's not as much fun. Like, I love golf, but it's more fun, obviously, talking football. But again, you guys are the best. Really enjoy all the work you guys do. And thanks again for having me on.
No, man, we appreciate you. Like I said, that's why we were buttering you up with the royalty thing. We just want you back more and more and more, my friend. All right, well, you know where you can find us, Justin LeDuc and I, TSS Fantasy. Always check us out. We'll do coming up with our summer tour next season. We'll probably do a couple things prior to that, a little off-season stuff. But check out our summer tour to start your football season off. We go and talk to experts in every city to talk about their team, get their perspective, because, we could sit here and look at stuff, but it's really good to hear people who are on the ground in those cities hearing and really close to those teams. So that's how we'll do our summer. And then, of course, you can check us out and give you sometimes good fancy advice. So check us out. All right, we're going to kick it back to the Super Bowl special. We appreciate you guys. Good luck this week, and I hope Keith wins you some money.
Yeah! Here we go!
It's time for TSS Fantasy.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Commissioner Cooper from TSS Fantasy. Whether preparing for your drafts, wondering who to add, or who to put in that starting lineup, look no further than us. We bring you expert fantasy analysts, leading medical and legal experts, big-time guests, and fun segments to keep you entertained. Subscribe to us on YouTube with That Sports Podcast Network or anywhere you listen to podcasts. TSS Fantasy, America's fantasy show.
Well, players, you don't have to take a shower to go to work.
There it is.
TSS Fantasy. I think I know that show. Check us out always during the season on Friday and Sunday mornings. And we'll be doing, of course, our summer tour coming up in the summer. We'll highlight every team, get you ready for your drafts. All right, let me get Chris back in here. Looks like he's ready to go. All right, fellas, you guys playing? Let's go, Brian. You playing any daily fantasy today?
Actually, no, not today. I'm going to be too busy pushing the plunger on this office and blowing it to smithereens and getting everything together. I'd like to, and if I was playing fantasy, I'll give you 2 sure bets: Patrick Mahomes and Saquon Barkley.
Indeed, DFS is a fickle animal, if I'm saying that right.
It is, man.
I've been playing it all season, and it's just, it's like you always end up picking the wrong receiver, or it's just a pain in the butt. And
I tried DFS once, and I was so close to scoring a 4-figure payout, and all I have to say is, damn you, Xavier Worthy.
That's the way it is, Bill.
One catch.
That's the life of that's the life of anyone playing fantasy. It feels like.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
know.
What about you, Chris? You playing any daily fantasy today?
Hey, bro, I wasn't, but I am now because that was fucking fun. That dude got Keith Fleming's legit. He got me fired up. Not only, and I also put another bet in that Eagles win the first half, and then the Chiefs win the game at plus. I got it at plus 550, so it's dropped, or he just got a little bit better of a book. Probably is what it is.
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal bet, even at plus 550. Take that bet.
Yeah,
I might put a little cheese on that myself.
That's not
We'll
horrible.
see.
That's not bad at all. That happens.
We'll see.
That happens in a lot of scenarios.
Yeah.
Keith is
And that
amazing.
though, Chris.
Keith is amazing. He brings some great statistical stuff every time he's on the show, and obviously bringing a little prop bet in there as well. So that's always fun. Speaking of prop bets, though, we got a whole prop bet segment, and hosted, of course, by yours truly here, Chris, and the boys from Patriot Sports Radio, bringing in Cricket, our boy Cricket as well. So they're going to bring you guys some great prop bets. So get your pens and paper out and get ready to win some money for this Super Bowl. Let's check it out.
Go Birds! Welcome back, friends and D-Gens. We made it to Super Bowl Sunday. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Sure, there's only one game left, but it's the best game we got, and there's never been more options to bet on this thing. We got sides, totals, prop bets, touchdowns, pregame, halftime, parlays. We even got a no-sweat underdog entry that's going to win 40x your money or your money back. My name is Eric, resident degenerate, flanked by producer Chris, and your favorite handicapper's favorite handicapper, Cricket. We are going to find ways to profit so much tonight you can skip work tomorrow. Now, Crick, based on the content I've seen you do lately, you're on the Kansas City Chiefs, and I can't fault you for that, but I also can't get on board. Maybe it's pure denial, but I think these Eagles have a shot. Let's start with how you doing, though. How are things in Tennessee? I have not seen you in a minute.
Man, they're all right, sir. They're all right. Been trying to find some winners laying in the weeds there. We've rode this Chiefs train a little bit, made some money on that. But yeah, everything's all right down this way, man. Not near as cold down this way as up y'all's way, bro. I know y'all got some rough weather coming through up there. It's been pretty nice down this way this past week. We got up in the 70s one day, man. So you get out there in your shorts and T-shirt and everything, bro. So it's pretty nice down Chattanooga way right now. How's everything up y'all's way?
Shorts and T-shirts, Crick, is my favorite. I was wondering in the winter, do you wear the thin socks? Because Crick is a sock guy. Let me tell you, I hung out with Crick, and he had a new sock every day with different prints. You can't really wear that in the winter. Probably fucks your game up, huh, brother?
I know, man. I still rock them, man. I don't have to wear. Like I said, I get to work from home, so I'm not out in the elements and all that stuff. So I still rock my socks, man. It's really got to be cold to get me put on a pair of pants, bro.
Well, I would have lost that bet. Okay.
Yep.
Hey, I have heard through the grapevine from a lot of our friends that, Crick, you have read the book on this game tonight. And what I want to hear is start to finish how the script is written, sir.
Man, I'm telling you, I've told y'all before. I think it's already written in the stars, man. I think anytime you got Patrick Mahomes giving up less than 3 points right there, I think you're a damn fool to go the other way. I really do. I'm going to take all the damn money in my account and put it on the Chiefs minus the 1.5 there. I got a few other little sprinkles that I'm going to throw in there just in case it don't work out. But I'm pretty heavy on the Chiefs in this thing, man. I think it's already a foregone conclusion. I really do.
So we probably all three understand that our hard-earned American currency is going to lie with the Walrus and Patty. But we all will be screaming "Go Birds," right? Because do we really want another cheap Pete? This will be a cheap Pete, which you can buy that shirt over on GameOn.locals.com.
Yes, you can, sir.
I can't do it.
You can't do it.
I can't do the Chief Pete or the 3 Chief or Jackson Mahomes going to come crawling out of a hole eventually and start making TikToks again if we allow this to happen. Someone needs to stand up and stop this.
It's Jalen Hurts.
Hopefully it's the Philadelphia Eagles, who I think just have more dudes. You line them up across from each other. There's just more dudes on this side. But somehow the Chiefs come away with these one-score victories seemingly every single time.
Most unimpressive season, 2-loss season I've ever seen.
Ever. A lot of 19-17 victories. We just need somebody to push the envelope that little bit farther. What I can't figure out is what Ron Torbert is doing refereeing this game. The league hasn't allowed him near a Chiefs game since he handed them the AFC Championship game when they played the Bengals a couple years ago. There was a 3rd and 9. The Chiefs were stopped. And then after the punter had come out on the field, Ron Torbert says, hang on, we got a penalty over here on Cincinnati. Replay 3rd down. They get stopped again. Torbert calls a defensive holding on Cincinnati. Automatic 1st down. Chiefs go on to win the game in a very lopsided 4th quarter. Now he gets the Super Bowl when the conspiracy crowd is louder than it's ever been. I have to assume he's been given instructions to make sure that this does not happen. Or they're just so blatant that they don't care that they've put the Chiefs referee on this Super Bowl right in front of our faces.
Here's my thing, man. I think that if you bet against the Chiefs, because even if it's not scripted, even if it's not written in the stars already, that's still a pretty damn good football team. This won 16 straight one-score games and all that. They know how to play in the close games. They've been in all these moments before and stuff. So even if it's not scripted, for all those folks out there that think it's not still, even if it's not, the Chiefs pretty good football team too. So
they are. They're phenomenal.
Two rights don't make a wrong for me there, man. So
they probably have. I mean, their routine is phenomenal, obviously, right? Because you have to have a routine on this 2-week break between your last game and the Super Bowl and all the media hype that's leading up to it, and keeping these kids like herding cats, keeping the team cohesive together. And Andy does it. He does it well.
Sober in New Orleans.
Yeah, and that's my thing, man. When you look at the coaching matchup, Sirianni versus Andy Reid there, I got to go with Andy Reid coming off. He's had a week to prepare, an extra week to prepare, and all of those things, man. So if it boils down to the X's and O's, I got to lean Kansas City in that area too.
It's hard to sack this guy, man.
Maybe it's wishful thinking, but I have taken the Eagles minus 5.5 plus 205 and the Eagles by 7 to 12 points plus 475. But the thing I feel better about, the thing that's going to return the money from those two lost bets, is both teams over 20 points plus 120. That's one of my favorite props throughout the season. Both teams over 19.5. And I expected this to be a minus 120. Don't you think both teams are going to score 20, 21? This feels like a 31-28 Super Bowl to me.
I think it's a 24-21 win for the Chiefs, man. So I do like your both teams to get to 20 plus there. But I think a lot of people are going to be piling on this over. You got the Eagles that scored 55 points in this championship game. You got the Chiefs that scored over 30 points for the first time all season, just when they needed to. Funny how that worked. Mm-hmm. But I think you're expecting all these people to think there's going to be all kinds of points in this damn game. And everybody's forgetting these were the top 2 defenses in the league all year long.
They did it last year, and it went under by the hook.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think this is a 24-21 final. I will have a little sprinkle on that exact score, 24-21 Chiefs.
I have not bet the coin toss. Usually I take heads because I believe the head side is rounded because it's got a head on it. So if it lands on the ground, the rounded side is going to flip it over. Okay. I don't know how scientific that is. I did take the over on the national anthem, over 120.5 seconds, because we got a jazz musician who sits at a piano. Plus America is back like we haven't been back in a century. Yeah. So I think with New Orleans, over the top Music City, we're gonna extend the thing past 2 minutes. I found another pregame or in-game exotic. Will Donald Trump tweet during the game? Minus 120. You telling me that guy's not going to fire off a tweet while he's sitting at the Super Bowl for 4 hours? There's no way.
That's money on the floor, buddy.
I thought of I didn't think of.
I would ladder that, E. I would ladder that one if I could. Up to like 5 tweets.
4 tweets?
Yep, at least. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would ladder the shit out of that, man.
What you can do at your Super Bowl party with the coin toss is you can all make a prediction on the coin toss. You all throw 5, 10, 20 bucks in the pot, depending on how well you're all doing in life. You put a coin out in front of you that displays your prediction, and then all the people who are right can split the pot.
Ooh, I like that little play right there, man. That's a little fun pool for the Super Bowl parties.
Yeah. What do you think of offensive touchdown scored on 4th down? Plus 250. These are 2 teams who are going to go for it on 4th down, on 4th and goal. That's how the game's going to be won and lost. 3rd down and any sort of 4th and goal situation.
I like that, man. I feel like you see it in these big games all the time. You're going to wind up having, it doesn't even have to be like a 4th and goal. You might see a 4th and 1 from like the 40 or something. Everybody thinking tush push, and there the tight end goes leaking out the back and money. So yeah, I don't hate that. Plus 250. I think there's pretty good value on that.
Yeah. What you got any weird exotic props that take place off the football field?
I want to know what the Gatorade colors is because I have a Gatorade color guess this year. I think the Gatorade color is going to be white. Gatorade color dumped on the winning coach. I think white.
I like that. Ice. We're going to ice flavor.
That is a popular flavor.
Yep.
I bet the
feel
odds
like
are long on that too.
I hit it a couple years ago, man. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it was purple back-to-back years because I got it a couple years ago when it was purple. It was like plus 800 on that thing. And so I couldn't go back to the well last year. Well, they're going to do the same color 2 years in a row, are they? So I just didn't even look at purple last year. And I'm pretty sure it was purple again. So I'm going to roll with white this year, man.
That could be an inside job. If I was the guy who filled the Gatorade tubs, I would absolutely have my friends have an action on that.
I'm curious about that. I'm curious who the guy is that fills up the Gatorade tubs because how do we keep this quiet for 3.5 hours?
There's no way he makes very much per year. So I think he could be swayed.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the guy filling up the Gatorade jugs, he would take a bag.
I'm thinking that they take a bag every year. It's already been happening.
Yeah. The halftime show, I believe, has been leaked. The prop menu, very limited. The only two potential bets I saw, the shoes on Kendrick Lamar's feet and the guests on his stage. Now, Nike Cortez is the minus 120 favorite, but the shocks have much more traction, and you don't want to fall down in front of 1 billion people. I think the Nike Cortez would be a bit of a risky move. As far as the guest appearances go, I don't know who most of these people are. I'm in my mid-40s, but I know Lil Wayne is from New Orleans, and he loves football. So he's going to be at the game. Minus 140, Lil Wayne appears, and Nike Shocks plus 150. Those are $5 wagers because I believe I'm 0 for lifetime on halftime bets. I'm not into the pop culture.
Steps came up with us last year. We were all betting on the damn Usher songs and everything. I don't think anybody in the whole house hit. I don't think there was a single person like Pissant was there with everybody. We all betting on the damn halftime props and nobody hit none of them.
But you got to do it. It's part of being an American.
Yeah, I think I might just walk outside for the halftime show this year. Take me a little break. Save that change.
What are your favorite prop bets, like actual player prop type situations, game totals, stuff like that? Football.
You guys know what you're talking about. I have one favorite prop bet. Let me give it out quick, and then you guys can get into the actual science of football. But I love Kareem Hunt, 10 plus rushing yards in each quarter at plus 600.
Bro, I kind of like that too, man.
Now, let me give a shout out to BMAC because that was his bet. But when I read that last night, I was like, that is my favorite prop bet of the. It's plus 600, and it's got a real shot.
I like that. I'll tell you one that I've been looking at that I've seen that I feel like is way too easy. It's kind of like my no triple in the World Series bet that I was hell-bent on there, and the first hit of the World Series was a triple. But I feel like that they've got both teams to make a 33.5 plus yard field goal, make over a 33-yard field goal. So I guess 34 plus yard field goal. Both teams to make one, and it was like plus 115 the other day. That feels way too easy.
So are they banking on the fact that the Eagles just aren't going to kick a field goal in this game? They're just going to go for it.
I feel like that what you're going to see out of Jake Elliott, if he kicks in field goals, I feel like they're all going to be less than 35 yards. So you're kind of gambling there in the fact that he may kick a 34-yarder, but I feel like all his field goals are going to be like 30 yards and under. Other than that, I think they're going for it.
It's really hard to beat the Chiefs kicking field goals. They just make you look stupid when you do that.
Yeah, when I was looking at that the other day, man, I was staring at it. It looked like it was way too easy, and all I could think about was no triple in the World Series plus 125, and that's what it feels like, that trap to me, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which cricket does not fall in trapdoors very often, ladies and gentlemen. The guy is the voice of reason between me, Eric, and Crick. I'll tell you that.
Because if you're in that 40 to 45 yard range, the 35 to 45 range, you're going to say to yourself, this isn't how we beat the Chiefs.
No.
We need to get this first down.
Yeah.
And they're going to pull up the ESPN Go stats on the bottom. There's going to say analytics says 4th and 3 or less, go for it. And there they'll be.
Yep. And there goes your field goals. Yep. Bucker will nail a 52-yarder, and Jake Elliott will not do his portion.
He'll have 3 for maybe combined 52 yards.
I think you're so right.
Yep.
He's going to have like 3 field goals that are extra points, pretty much, probably.
His kicking points are 7.5, and that seemed high to me because that's 2 field goals and a couple touchdowns or a bunch of touchdowns. I don't know how much they're going to kick.
I feel like
I
our
like-
guy Blue. I feel like he liked that. Oh, I think it was 6.5 is what he said. He liked the over 6.5 on that. But I just one of those things, man. I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of points. I don't know. That's one I'm not really gonna mess with.
No, these are a couple aggressive offenses. I'm keeping close tabs on the Devonta Smith situation. He was limited in practice on Friday, which troubles me because I was looking to. Well, I've already taken most receptions plus 700. I'm big on Devonta Smith. He's played 2 games in the Super Bowl, one with Alabama, one with the Eagles. When they played LSU, when he was with the Crimson Tide, he caught 8 for 231 and 3 touchdowns. He's also from New Orleans. In a road game versus the Saints with Philly, he caught 7 for 79 on 10 targets. I think he's tapped into the magic of that place. He came out and said, if we need to run all game to win this game, then let's do it. Someone that pure of heart is probably going to succeed. Not only that, he's lining up across from slot corner Chamari Connor, who you probably haven't heard of. That's because he allows 1.54 yards per route run, with no other DB on the team allowing more than 0.94. So the slot, and I think the slot is going to be key because they know the pressure is coming. Jalen Hurts understands that his passer rating, all his numbers take a dive when he's under pressure. So you can either come out running the ball and wait for them to stop it and force you to throw, or you can dictate that you're going to come out throwing, hit Devonta Smith with a couple quick hitters right in the beginning, slow that pass rush down. Otherwise, you're going to wait until you're down 10, and now you have to throw. Now the Chiefs are dictating the game on offense and defense. I think they come out throwing and surprise people. And given that he's got 20 targets in 2 games played in this building, I think there's something there. I also have Devonta Smith reception on the first drive plus 105, because I think that's what they're going to do to try to negate that pass rush. But this groin that became a hamstring, that's not that serious, that now he's going to fully participate in the walkthrough yesterday, I'm sure. I haven't checked, but all practices are over. So all Devonta Smith information is out there, and I got an ulcer over this. He's either going to be amazing or do nothing.
I'm a little contrarian on that because I'm high on AJ Brown in this thing. I think AJ Brown is going to have a big game. I'm going to have a half unit on him to win Super Bowl MVP at plus 3,500. I like his anytime touchdown at plus 175. I also put the half unit on him to score the first tutty at plus 1,200 and the half unit on 2+ tutties at 1,300. I think he's going to have a big time game. I think his receiving yards are going to be sitting around 72, 73, something like that probably. But I think you get the 70 plus at minus 120. I like the 70 plus, probably laddered up to 100 plus. For AJ Brown right there, maybe a unit on each one. Maybe you get up to the half unit when you get to the 90 and 100. But no, I like AJ Brown to have a big time game in this thing, man. I think probably my favorite prop is probably anytime TD for AJ Brown at plus 175.
I was very surprised to see it that high. I expected maybe a plus 110.
Right. And like I said, he's been a team player through all this. AJ Brown's an incredible talent and stuff like that. He's not the type guy that really you would think would be cool with being on a team that was run first, like they have been all year long with that nasty offensive line and Saquon. I feel like he's been very quiet, just kind of laying in the weeds. Like everybody forgets how good this guy really is. And I think on the biggest stage, I think he's going to show up to play, man.
He has been pretty quiet because I've been betting on him to score all playoffs long. I think this is the one. I have my Skip Monday parlay is AJ Brown centric. I'll give this out right now while we're on topic. After we hit this bet, you can call into work and tell him you'll be there on Tuesday because we already got Monday's pay on Sunday night. AJ Brown scores a touchdown. AJ Brown, longest reception, over 25.5 yards. The longest touchdown in the game, over 39.5 yards. Now, we could hit all 3 of those on one play. Patrick Mahomes, over 24.5 receptions, which he's cleared easily in all 4 of his Super Bowls so far. And then we just need a Noah Gray touchdown. And the Kansas City Chiefs have been running multi-tight ends all season long, and Noah Gray has seen red zone action. That's going to be the tricky leg. I think this A.J. Brown stuff we get in the first half. Mahomes completions, we get that in the fourth quarter, and then we're just sweating out a Noah Gray touchdown for a 94-1.
Wow. I'm in.
You could take off Monday with that one, bro.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's go, man. I got a couple long shot ones I am looking at too here. One I kind of like. I like Saquon to have 20+ rush yards in each quarter at plus 350.
Wow.
I love that. That
should be a plus 175.
I was thinking it should be about half that. I was. So I feel like there's some value on that right there. I do like. There's a couple. I'm looking at some just in case the Chiefs. I'm looking at some of these Kelsey props, man, because like I've told y'all, I do feel like it's written in the stars, and I've seen this movie before and everything. But I'm going to look at Travis Kelsey to score the first and last TD at plus 9,000.
God, love that.
90 to 1 on that, and then you get. It's called this prop's called Afterglow. Travis Kelsey to score a touchdown in overtime, plus 4,000.
Ooh.
If it goes to overtime, you know who the hell's scoring that touchdown, man.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do.
yeah. And then he's gonna propose.
And that's what I'm saying, bro. I'm telling you. And there's going to be a nip slip during the proposal.
Nip slip on the proposal. That parlayed is huge.
Oh, we're gonna
I'm just
retire off
saying.
that tip.
You'll own half the casino if you parlay all that together, man.
I'm gonna buy a
So-
fishing boat and name it Nip Slip.
E, are
Yeah.
you privy to if she's had a tit job or not?
I'm not sure. I haven't checked.
Because the nip slip's really easy on her natural. Because I think my pecs are bigger than her.
If she got bolt-ons, we would have heard about it.
I think we're gonna get a nip slip, homie.
It's
Golly.
could be.
So easy. She has no chest.
Yep. How many years since Janet Jackson? Is it like 25-year anniversary or something like that, man?
Oh, God, that's a good angle. It's got to be close to that. It feels like that long.
Yep.
So, one other weird one I'm looking at, man. They've got these jersey prop specials in here. Birdie, you like, but one of the ones I like, bro, I like Juju Smith-Schuster to have exactly 9 receiving yards at plus 3,000.
Wow. That's a great number.
I think the man's going to have 1 catch for 9 yards.
That's absolute. Yeah.
What a call.
What a call. What about Travis Kelce and AJ Brown 70 plus apiece? Receiving yards, apologize. At plus 340.
I like that, man.
You like 70 each?
I like 70
AJ's
each.
gonna get there.
I think Kelsey's going to have his game. Kelsey always shows up in these moments, and everybody talks about, is he done playing football? Yada, yada. He's going to show up to play tonight. And then you look at A.J. Brown, and like I told you, I think he's going to have a big game too because he's been awfully quiet. And for the Eagles to have a chance at this thing, I think they got to get that guy involved. So, yeah, I don't
They're
hate
gonna
that
have
one.
to air it out. They're gonna have to air it out a little bit.
Yep. I got a Quinyon Mitchell interception plus 700. He just had an interception in the championship game. And these young corners, they get hot in the playoffs. I've seen it before. Dudes you haven't heard. Tramon Williams for the Packers really wrote his whole legacy in that 2010 season. Then Sam Shields followed in his footsteps. And this Quinyon Mitchell, he's been close to interceptions all season. I've been betting on this kid and watching him, and he's always near the ball. Another one is Zach Bond. I don't know how the New Orleans Saints let this kid. Oh, he used to play for the Saints. He's familiar with the building. Zach Bond is going to lead this game in tackles. That's in my underdog entry, but I also think 2,400 plus 2,400 for first interception is not a bad little $2 to $5 wager either, because Zach Bond is one of those dudes who's always near the ball. If somebody fumbles, if a pass gets tipped, there's a good chance he's going to be right there. And dude has like a 94 awareness.
Yeah, well, and real quick, I like the Quinyon Mitchell angle there, but I got to give a shout out to our guy, the Wolf of Oaklawn, because he came on Crick's Corner with me yesterday, man, and he threw out this little angle. Tomorrow is Cooper DeJean's birthday. The man is, he returns.
It's Saquon Barkley's birthday as well.
It is, but I'm saying I think everybody's going to be piling on that one, man. But I think you look at Cooper DeJean, a guy that returns punts, also plays 90% of the damn snaps on defense.
He's going to be on Travis Kelce.
You look at him. If he gets a pick, maybe gets a couple good punt returns, things like that. That may be a guy. You get him like 200 to 1 or something to win the damn MVP. You put $1 on that damn thing anyway for 200 because he has a big day, birthday boy, and all that. I'm just saying. I thought Wolf had an angle there.
That could also change the whole perception of the game.
Yep.
A pick on Kelce, that would change things.
Or a big punt return, set him up in a good spot, something like that.
Yes.
I'm just saying, man's gonna get opportunities.
Yeah,
it definitely could happen. That's what I love about the Super Bowl. We get 2 weeks to think about it. We consider every angle. We play every possible scenario out in our head.
We have so many different buddies that think outside different boxes. Like it's all dialed in.
Yep. Oh, geez. We're at about 20 minutes. Do you have any other wagers you want to get off your chest?
No, sir, man. Like I said, I'm heavy. I'm going to have a 5-unit play on the Chiefs minus the 1.5 there. I do like the A.J. Brown props. I think you can ladder him from 70 plus up to 100 plus. Probably once you get to 90 plus and 100 plus, go ahead and just do the half unit there. But I love the anytime touchdown at plus 175. I think you sprinkle on the first touchdown for A.J. Brown and the 2+ tutties for A.J. Brown. But then I got the few small props, man. Just the Travis Kelce to score in overtime, 40-1. Kelce to score the first and last TD at 90-1. And then Kelce, 20+ receiving yards in every quarter, 50-1. And then I love the Juju to have exactly 9 receiving yards at 30-1.
I got to get on that just to say I did. Now, before we get out of here, I have a no sweat underdog entry up to $10. Use promo code TSS. They're going to give you a $10 entry for the big game. And if it misses, which it won't, you'll get your $10 back. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to plug in Mahomes higher than 36.5 pass attempts. Out of his 4 Super Bowls, he's gone over 40 attempts in 3 of them. DeAndre Hopkins, higher than 14.5 receiving yards. This veteran's going to get some love at some point. And then, like I said, Zach Bond, game-high tackles and assists. And then Harrison Butker hits a field goal longer than 44.5 yards. We talked about Jake Elliott, how he's not going to help. But Harrison Butker's going to do his part. And after we hit all 5 of those, we're going to get a 40x return on our entry. It's a beautiful thing. Best of luck to everybody. Eat all the bacon wrapped, whatever you can find at the party, and make sure you don't get drunk if you're the one driving. Now we'll kick it back to the TSS mothership and our boy Jason.
You made it to 4th and Flex. Welcome. Just to put it kind of in perspective for you guys, this is probably going to surprise a lot of you, but because here at 4th and Flex, every day is game day. Every touchdown, every reception, every bust, we got you covered to push you to become a champion. We're dropping all the stats you need to succeed in fantasy football, baby. This is the place to be. 4th and Flex, baby. Let's go. Don't know who to draft? Come flex with us. Sick and tired of losing every year? Come flex with us. Tired of being the champion of the toilet bowl? Well then you better come flex with us. Come flex with us.
Thank you, Chris and the boys from Patriot Sports Radio, along with Cricket, doing their thing. I'm ready to make some money today. And, of course, we saw some other shows from That Sports Podcast Network, 4th and Flex, and TNL, some great shows. So make sure you check it out right here on That Sports Podcast Network. Brian, you got any? You have any bets you're trying to make today? What do you think?
I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to make any bets or not. Only thing I'm betting on is getting my office finished and my wife's chili down in my gullet right now.
That's the easiest bet of the day.
Those are my 2 winners for the day.
I love it. I'm gonna just go reflect back, even though the boys didn't bring it up in the last one, but Keith brought it up. I love that prop bet of the Eagles winning in the first half
and the Chiefs winning the game.
That's a great prop bet. I really like that.
That might be the only one I take a shot at. That might be the only one. That might be the only one where I take a shot at, because it's tough to pick with these 2 teams.
It really is.
There's one game separates them in the standings. They both roared through. Philadelphia roared through Washington in the NFC Championship game, and yes, for those of you wondering, I still say Washington Redskins because that's what I grew up with. Thank you, John Riggins and Joe Theismann. And that Redskins-Eagles rivalry is something else. Wait till Washington changes the name back. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Chiefs rolled through the AFC as everyone thought they would. Don't think they tanked in the last game. against Denver. People want to bring out the conspiracy. Oh, they tanked in the last game. No, they didn't. They had everything wrapped up, so they decided to play the C team. Okay? How do I know this? Niners went through it 2 years ago. We played our C team against the Rams because we had division locked up, top seed locked up. That's what you compete for every year. So you get a chance to host home games in your ballpark. All right? So don't think the Chiefs tanked when they got shut out by Denver. By the way, what happened to Denver next round? They got socked in the mouth by the Buffalo Bills. They got socked in the patootie by the Buffalo Bills. So that should wipe out that conspiracy. But I might take a shot at that prop bet. Eagles winning the first half, Chiefs winning the game. That's well, I already got the Chiefs winning the game. I already got that. So I might just double it with that prop bet. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that one. As you mentioned, well, first thing, I got one more prop bet for you. I'll take the over on how many times Brian mentions the 49ers during the show. And
if that's the case, I've already exceeded it. Okay, whatever. We didn't even set the amount, and I'm already over it. All right, how about that?
Love it. Well, you mentioned it. You brought up, how close these teams are, and they really are very close, very good mirror image of each other. Something that may take an effect, though, is injuries. So, of course, we got our leading medical expert, our boy Brian Scott from the Injury List podcast, coming in to go over some injury news. So let's bring him in.
A.J. Dillon just went into the medical tent a moment ago.
Good morning, Brian. Welcome to Super Bowl Sunday. How are you, my friend?
I am good, gentlemen. How are we doing? This is it, the culmination of a whole season's worth of talk shows and analysis and betting and gambling and all kinds of fun stuff.
This is it.
This is it.
This is the final active Sunday of the year. Every other Sunday from here until next July, I should say, or next.
Although my work never really truly ends. I've got the combine coming up. I've got a show I'm going to be putting out about some, potential big time first round draft picks that are dealing with
If that's the case, can I
coming out of
beg you
college.
to,
So stay tuned for that.
can I
We do that
beg you
every
to
year.
come on to my show to add a little bit to my show and my network also,
You
my
don't,
man?
hey,
Please.
with a name like Brian, you don't have to beg. You don't have to beg.
Brian 2.0 for sure.
That's right. I'm Brian to another.
What do we got today for injury news?
Well, when it comes to the Super Bowl, it's not so much as a matter of who's injured and what they're dealing with at this time of the year. It's all on the line now. This is it. This is what both teams and organizations have been working towards all season. You can pretty much just throw any injury out the window. Any little nick, any little knack that they're dealing with, pretty much just wipe it off the map.
Yep.
And if you look at the stats this season, which come out recently when it comes to injury in stats for the year, which a lot of websites do put out. And Jason, you can help me with this because you've got the graphics to pull up for me. But they look at how injuries affected the points per game or points per injury, if you will. That one that has the bar graphs. That is really telling because if you look at this, most people would never have picked that the Lions were the most affected by injuries.
Yeah.
But if you look at their spreadsheet with all of their guys lost to IR, season-ending surgeries, they were dramatically affected. And it's amazing that they were able to be as successful as they were. So kudos to that coaching staff. Dan Campbell over there is doing an amazing job. You can't succeed at that level with that many injuries unless you've got tremendous coaching, great depth at each position. So kudos to them. And when you look at the teams that are successful historically, they're all going to be toward the left side of that graph where the point spread, the points affected by injuries are very low. And of course, the Chiefs are right up there. The Eagles kind of fell in the middle this year. But when we break down more of the specifics, what you're looking at with them is the severity of the injuries and the players that it's happened to. So let's do that. Let's pull up this stats for the Eagles, Jason, if you don't mind. You've got the other thing there. So if you look down through the roster at the guys that they've lost to IR, probably the biggest name on there is really James Bradbury. Outside of that, it's not a lot of major starters or guys that really affected their points production, their success on the field. So they've been essentially completely healthy all year, despite what that last graph showed, where they're kind of in the middle of the pack. When you compare that to what the Chiefs had to deal with earlier in the year, and if you pull up their graphic, you'll see that they had a lot of big name players lost to IR, in particular Marquise Brown, who ended up having a pretty significant sternoclavicular injury, amongst some of their other players, and at skilled positions, which is can really tank your season. So again, the Chiefs, maybe the officials helped out a little bit, hard to say, but they were able to overcome this, and their guys have gotten healthy toward the end of the year here as they've made their playoff run. So you couldn't ask for a better situation when you have an injury to this magnitude, where you got your players basically back on the field. And now if you fast forward to today's game, the Chiefs actually have less guys listed on their injury report than the Eagles. The only one that's really going to be doubtful is Sky Moore. He's been dealing with some type of abdominal issue, and it sounds like he's not going to be able to play. But basically everybody else on their list, including Patrick Mahomes, who was listed with an ankle issue, but we know that that's not really bothering him, is going to be a full go and has fully participated in practice all week, leading up to the Super Bowl here today. So they should be good to go. Clean slate, no issues. I don't expect anything to really be lingering at this point with these guys. They've had enough time now since their last playoff game to recover and get themselves right. The Eagles, on the other hand, they have definitely a longer list of players on their injury report. The only one that is listed as out is Brian Covey. He's a wide receiver, kind of lower down on the depth charts. And then Nick Gates, one of their linemen, is dealing with a new groin issue that sounds like it's going to keep him from participating in the Super Bowl. But so they may have to shift some of their offensive line around, but they will be able to fill those gaps as they've gotten a bunch of guys on the offensive line back as well. So it shouldn't, and they've been doing that all season for the most part, in a couple different positions, namely center. So I don't think this is going to be a huge issue for them. And as we saw last round, I mean, they're on high speed, full send. Their cylinders are firing on all points right now. So, if in that case, I'm liking the Eagles' chances this year, man. I really am. Chiefs, of course, going for that three-peat. They're hungry, but the Eagles, they got my boy Saquon from the Giants, unfortunately, and he turned out career year, of course, which wouldn't have happened any other way if he hadn't come from the Giants. So
right.
But yeah, the injury thing, it definitely is a culmination of all the stuff that's happened throughout the year. It's no surprise to see these teams being successful in the wake of sports injuries throughout the year when you look at statistics. So nothing surprising. We see year after year.
100%.
No, nothing surprising here either. The teams with the least amount of injuries always seal up the number one seed and always get to the big game. Almost always. There are a couple of exceptions to the rule.
And people are wondering, how the Commanders, Redskins, whatever you want to call them, Brian,
Redskins,
how did they get so far? Well, they got a stud rookie quarterback, and they were super healthy all year. If you go back to that bar graph, you'll see that they were one of the top 7 teams that had the least amount of points lost due to injuries. So
they didn't lose their key players to injury. They didn't lose their key players to injury. You lose a key player to injury, like the Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson for the remainder of the year. That's going to affect not only your core and your unit that he represents, but it's going to affect your team attitude. And with the Lions coming into being the number one seed, had a home game against the hottest team in the NFL and the Washington Redskins, the Lions' attitude was not there. It wasn't ready, and the Redskins chopped them down to size.
Yeah. Well, psychologically, when you see your top stud guys at each position kind of dropping one by one to serious injuries that are going to keep them out for extended periods of time, unfortunately for some teams, the writing is on the wall that could derail their season, and the attitude becomes contagious, and guys start kind of doubting themselves, their team, and you feel like you're kind of climbing uphill from the very beginning. So that's what's really impressive about the Chiefs this year. Forget all the other stuff that's happened. They had some serious injuries to key players early in the season, but were able to overcome it.
Yeah, and moreover, as a good example, not that I am a fan of America's team, the Miami Dolphins, but they are actually, pull your graphic up, right there in the middle of the pack. But really, with the injury with Tua, that basically derailed this season. So just to point that out, it depends on who it is, who's on the IR for a certain amount of time. But yeah, just hyphenating your point there, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, and then you look at a team like the Falcons. I mean, they're just bad. So it doesn't matter who gets injured or who doesn't get injured.
Who do you think, Brian, was the unluckiest team that had to deal with injuries most of the year?
Well, if you go again, look at the bottom of that list. You could definitely say the Lions because of the nature of the skill level of the players that got injured. The Browns, with the whole Deshaun Watson debacle and his screw up of his Achilles tendon. I mean, that's just a mess. And by the way, I've got some dirt on that. Turns out he didn't actually destroy the repair that he had. Apparently, he ruptured the tendon below where the repair was. And I've got that firsthand information through some contacts I know in the medical field. So that is a huge bit of information, which could potentially not just derail next year, but that could derail this guy's career. I mean, that's a major, major surgery to have to then go back and have done a second time. I mean, that's bad.
Yeah. Just in case you didn't know, Brian 2.0, the other Brian was trying to get you to say the Niners, just so you know.
I haven't gotten there yet.
It was kind of topsy-turvy.
I was building up to it.
It was kind of topsy-turvy with San Francisco because they began the season with a very key player on IR. Of course, I'm speaking of Christian McCaffrey.
Yes.
Later, they lose Ayuk, they lose Deebo Samuel, they lose George Kittle for a couple of games. Even Nick Bosa went down. But I agree with what Mr. Scott said about the Detroit Lions. You want to talk about some bad luck with injuries, especially coming down the stretch where you had to beat Minnesota to win the Central Division. You had home field advantage. You had the number 1 seed. And as I said a moment ago, you had the hottest team in the NFL coming into your house.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right about the 49ers, not to overlook them because they're only 3 spots behind the Lions when it comes to points missed due to IR losses. And like you said, the Christian McCaffrey debacle, I mean, geez, they basically were starting from a, below sea level right from the beginning.
Yeah, we were starting from a deficit minute 1.
And just not only Niners, but just talking in just fantasy perspective, like we were all, Christian McCaffrey went off a lot of boards very early. Nobody had any idea what type of injury and how bad it was. So what a crazy way to start your season. I know that had to hurt at least to start it. But
Brian, there was a lot of shifty kind of things coming out of San Francisco when it came to his injury reports early in the season. They did that with a few players, actually, not just McCaffrey, and it wasn't on one occasion. It was on a couple of occasions. And I know there were some issues and things happening amongst circles in the league about whether or not the 49ers had violated any type of procedural things when it came to injury reports and stuff. So it was a big deal back early in the season.
Yeah, they pursued that the first 5-6 weeks of the season. As it turns out, nothing was going on. It was just something crazy with McCaffrey and how he was healing. He was progressing to healing, and then he had a setback, and it started a lot of questions. It started a lot of questions around the league. Hey, are the Niners cheating the system? No, they are not. They just had some rotten luck, and McCaffrey's had some rotten luck with his legs. It was just, oh man, it was just horrible from minute 1.
Yeah,
well, you play that position like he does, and you have that much talent like he does, and you're asked to carry a lot of the workload. His body's under so much stress. No matter how great a shape he's in, injuries are gonna sneak up on you. And unfortunately for him this year, they got the best of him.
Oh man, did they get the best of him?
In a society that's so sue happy, I was waiting for the lawsuits to come out from fantasy owners to the 49ers on how their fantasy season was blown. I didn't see any. I was just kind of surprised.
Do you know how many people crawl down my back with that stuff?
Hey, the statute of limitations is probably not up, so I'd be careful.
Right, exactly. Maybe we can start.
They're still talking to me. They're still talking to me, and they're like, "Hey, how could you be a fan of a team that cheats? Well, who the hell is your team?" Well, I don't want to say my team. Then get out of my face, will you?
Shoot, I wish my team cheated. I'd like to win something at some point. Okay, real quick before we send Brian 2.0 out. just wanted to address some of these comments. I love we got a Niner in the comment section. Devo Sam. He said not all Eagles fans are terrorists, but all terrorists are Eagles. Eagles fans, and then I hope the Chiefs win on a horrible penalty call and Eagles fans riot.
Oh my gosh,
that's perfect. I love it. And good morning to you, Mickey. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you guys for your comments.
Morning, Mickey.
We appreciate you. All right, Bryce. So where can we follow, subscribe, and get all your great content, my friend?
Well, first off, I want to say I'm proud of TSPN. We've done a great job this year. All kudos to all the shows, TSS in particular. You guys have knocked it out of the park once again. The network continues to get better and better each week throughout the football year and each week throughout the sports seasons, all of them included. So I'm really proud of everybody. Don't forget, guys, we got Debbie Wickus was down live in New Orleans. She's got a bunch of content she probably hasn't even gotten to yet. So check out the Blonde Blitz because she was actually on Media Row representing not only the Blonde Blitz, but also that Sports Podcast Network. So we're really proud of her to be able to do that. We're hoping to maybe get to the Combine this year, too, to do some content, myself included in that one. So we're waiting to hear from the NFL.
It's in my backyard. I'm not far from Indianapolis.
Waiting to hear from the NFL credentialing office.
I want to go to the Combine myself, and I want to take my wife with me just to have some fun, and I want to cover it. If I got to cover
that's what I'm planning on doing, and I've asked for 2 passes. We're waiting on word from the NFL Communications Department. Brian, maybe I'll invite you as my second.
I would love that. I would absolutely adore that if you get it.
Well, in the meantime, I'll be planning my NFL draft special. I do this every year where I go through college players coming out of the school with injuries that could potentially affect their draft status. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up before the NFL draft. I usually wait till after the Combine to discuss those players that are dealing with injuries. And then, you'll find me on all different stuff throughout the offseason from football here, doing some other sports. In the meantime, helping out the other shows on TSPN. And around the leagues and stuff. And of course, the website, that's theinjuredlist.com, on social media, on X at InjuredListPod. I'll be doing a lot of updates throughout the offseason and throughout the year on various athletes that pop up with injuries or stories and stuff to that effect.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you, Bri. As always a great contributor to every show here on our network and does great work. You do great work yourself. So make sure you check out the Injured List podcast and all the great stuff Brian puts out for you. Well, we're going to send you off today with a commercial about your podcast. How about that? A fitting way to send you off. All right, Brian, we appreciate you. We'll be talking soon as always. And thank you again for all your contributions and what you do for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Injured List podcast, where sports meet science. Are you a sports fanatic or a fantasy sports enthusiast? If so, you're in the right place. At the Injured List podcast, we dive deep into the world of sports injuries, from the latest news to in-depth breakdowns. We keep you informed about your favorite athlete's health and its impact on the game. But it's not just about injuries. We go beyond the sidelines with exclusive interviews. Hear directly from the pros, gain insights into their recovery journeys, and learn about the cutting-edge techniques from experts in sports medicine. Calling all fantasy sports enthusiasts, we know how crucial injury updates are for your fantasy team. Get the edge with our expert advice and stay ahead in your leagues. Don't miss out on the action. Subscribe now to the Injured List podcast. Stay informed, stay ahead, follow us on social media, and join the conversation. Your journey into the intersection of sports and science starts here.
All right, Brian, once again, appreciate you, my brother, for coming in and breaking things down for us. Speaking of breaking down, we finally got to our final segment of the day. My boy, Bri, and Ben Troop are going to be in the house. We're going to give you the Super Bowl breakdown and just kind of go over some stats and pick our winners. And
hold on to your stomach with Ben in the house.
And don't forget, I think I mentioned it on there, Ben will be having his Netflix comedy tour coming up. But Brian, because we do close the show on that last segment, so before we head out, this is your time. Give us where we can follow, subscribe, and what great content you got putting out there.
I'm going to throw it in the comments also, but you can find me at youtube.com/, at Snowman Multimedia and youtube.com/@SnowmanSportsNet. Really trying to grow the second channel as I want it to become my exclusive play-by-play channel. And also tonight's stream is a donation stream. I'm still trying to help my family as we continue to bounce back. Like I said earlier in the show, bouncing back from cancer, and I want to be able to support my family. My Jody's doing it all right now, and I want to give her a little hand with that. So anybody that can drop by, drop a little donation to help me and my family, that would very much be appreciated.
Absolutely. Go check out Bry's got all kind of great content, especially got a morning show. You got to love that. You wake up and talk sports. That's the way you do it. Get your day started. Gotta love it. Of course, always subscribe, follow to the That Sports Podcast Network. You've seen a lot of commercials. We got a couple more shows that we didn't even get commercials with. Scoreboard Addicts, got the Millie Goats. We got lots of great podcasts here, so you can stick and stay here. We'll cover everything. We'll have a basketball one coming up as well. So make sure you stick and stay here with That Sports Podcast Network. We always appreciate you. And this will be my time to say, basically duplicate what Brian said. Very proud of all of our podcasts and all the things that they do. Especially you mentioned Deb being down there in Super Bowl. I'm so jealous. We will be playing a reel later with all of her highlights. So I didn't get it done in time. I got a little video set up, but that'll be
all right
here on the YouTube. So make sure you keep stick and stay here. We'll give you all.
And I will say for all of us, for the joint efforts of Snowman Multimedia and TSPN, the road to Santa Clara starts today.
It does indeed. Absolutely love it. All right, Brian. Well, thanks again for doing this thing with me. Let's get things ended with our breakdown. All right. That's right, guys. It's time for that big game breakdown. We've had such a great special so far. We've given some great betting advice, great food tip options. Shay brought you how to sit and make your party right. We've had all kind of great stuff, and I'm excited to break things down with my boy Ben and Brian. Let's serve this puppy up to you real quick. Just kind of paint the picture. Chiefs versus Eagles. In overall series, the Chiefs lead 6-5. The last time they played was November 20th of 2023. The Eagles won 21-17, of course, in the regular season. We know they've only played once in the postseason not too long ago, and the Chiefs won 38-35, giving us a great Super Bowl for sure. Chiefs are favored by 1 in the matchup, and the over-under is 49.5. I'm going to take the over on that all day. Let's talk about this big game. Let's go first. We're going to go position by position. Let's start off with the top, and let's go with the coaches. And so, Ben, let's go to you first. What do you think has the advantage coach-wise in this matchup?
Obviously, Andy Reid. Having a guy like Pat Mahomes, they've done this a lot. They've been here a lot, and they understand bigger than the game plan. They understand tendencies. Andy Reid he's free to call any play because he's got the greatest guy at improvising with the football, and he's got the greatest leeway. I mean, let's face it. When it comes to Pat Mahomes, he does things you're not going to tell other quarterbacks to do, but he's gotten away with it because he's won a Super Bowl. So I will give the edge to Andy Reid because the difference is Andy Reid is a micromanager. Nick Sirianni shows up with a whistle. I don't think Nick Sirianni says anything but hey, what we running on this play, what we doing on third down. So you got a micromanager versus a face. I'm going to go with the micromanager who has Pat Mahomes.
Yeah. Any argument there, Brian?
No, Ben said everything I needed to say and wanted to say because Andy Reid is old school. Like you said, Ben, he's a micromanager, but he can maximize the talent from his players. So why argue? Andy Reid has been there, done that. I'll trust Andy Reid before I trust Sirianni.
Maida, Samata, I'm with you both. Yep. Obviously, this was an easy one to serve up first. Andy Reid's been there, done that. As you mentioned, that you set up a system in Kansas City. It's next man up. It doesn't really matter who's up there. Well, obviously, if Pat Mahomes goes down. But other than that, they have a great system set up with the Chiefs. So, obviously, big win for the Chiefs at the coaching rank. So this one, now we might find a little bit of debate here. Let's go to the QBs. Brian, I'll go to you on this one first. Who do you think has the advantage in this matchup at the quarterback spot?
You really want to make it that easy? It's Patrick Mahomes and no one else right now. I mean, I love you, Jalen Hurts, but to me, Jalen Hurts can only go so far. Patrick Mahomes has the freedom of any audible he wants. And in many cases, so does Jalen, but Jalen doesn't use it. I'll trust Pat Mahomes. I'll make this simple. I'll trust number 15 all day long to maybe a behind the back pass, between the legs pass, over the head hook shot, no matter what he has to do to get the, you know who Pat Mahomes reminds me of? Steve Young. Steve Young can throw those improvisational passes. I mean, hell, he had a pass deflected against Atlanta in 1993, and he sprinted up and caught it. That's Patrick Mahomes. I'll trust him.
I like it. What do you think, Ben? You got any argument to that?
I don't. But I will add this to it. Patrick Mahomes has gotten two things that no other quarterback has. That is trust from not just his head coach, but the refs. Depending on who you are. And the benefit of the doubt. Because here's the thing about Patrick Mahomes. He makes some real bad plays, but the good one is so good, you forget about the bad one. He does some stuff that go, what are you doing? But he always wins the game. And I think Pat Mahomes is the only quarterback in sports ever that can go to Andy Reid and say, relax, man. I get it. Just relax. But yes, Pat Mahomes has all the leeway in the world. Plus, he got the little wink from the refs. I don't know if it's going to be winking this Sunday, but we'll see.
I'll add something to that. Only quarterback that can go up to his coach and say, hey, we got this. Montana was doing that a long time ago with Bill Walsh. As soon as he learned, and of course, Bill Walsh is the godfather of the West Coast offense. Andy Reid just happened to perfect it. All right. As Patrick Mahomes goes to Andy Reid and said, relax, man, relax. Montana was doing that first. Okay.
Yeah, so I got no argument on the QB. Pat Mahomes, obviously, as we mentioned with Andy Reid, been there, done that. Does, like you mentioned, the improv plays. Jalen Hurts has a tendency to stay in the pocket too long and take sacks, I think, unnecessarily. So I'm going to go again with you guys on that one and go with the Chiefs, Pat Mahomes. Let's go to the running back spot. Man, I'm just serving up little soft spots on here. We can just talk about the whole.
You're making this too easy, man.
It's
You're
starting
making
out
this
real
easier
easy.
than Montana hitting Jerry Rice on a 4-yard slant and Jerry Rice doing the rest.
Another Jerry Rice, Joe Montana reference. Love it. Let's go, Ben. Who's got the advantage at the running back spot?
I don't think you ever going to see this big of an advantage ever in a Super Bowl. Listen, love Pacheco, who's been here. Yep. Kareem Hunt, who has done so much for the Chiefs, but playing the Super Bowl. But there are specimens known as, listen, you can go to creative players. Say, listen, I want them 6 feet. I want them about 235 pounds. Want to run about a 4.3. And Saquon Barkley just pop up. Why Saquon? Because that's him. Freddy Krueger with a uniform on is Saquon Barkley. He is. He's the scariest thing you're going to see because people talk about home run hitters and guys that can get it done. The fact that Saquon Barkley doesn't get featured, the fact that he's a great professional and a great teammate, he's not petty, and he's a beast. Yes, it's Saquon Barkley. And listen, if you ask Isaiah Pacheco, if you ask Pacheco and Hunt, I mean, who got the better running back? They got Saquon over there, man. Saquon. So it's Saquon all day, and they better finish the job because he wasn't allowed to break Eric Dickerson record, so they better find a way to get this done.
All right. Any argument, Brian?
I'm throwing all the old school references that I can into this. I got no argument about Saquon Barkley being the best running back that's going to be featured in this game, and he better be featured. He better touch the ball at least 25 times in this game. That's what I'm counting on. But Chris Fowler, who was with ESPN, called a game, the Rose Bowl between USC and Penn State. And all you had to hear Chris Fowler say on a play early in the third quarter is Saquon Barkley in the clear. Everybody is yelling their brains out, and Barkley is flying down the sideline or flying down the field. It It's so much of a mismatch that Barkley can stop at the 10-yard line and jog in while everybody's running at 2 times their full speed to catch him. Okay? As I often say on my morning show, and as my wife has said to me in joking fashion, find the lie. Saquon Barkley by a mile.
Yeah, big advantage, obviously, for the Eagles at the running back spot. None really add there. Let's go to the receiver core. What do you think, Brian? Go to you first. Who do you think has the advantage here?
A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Travis Kelce. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, because he is a receiver in a tight end's body. Thank you, George the Animal Kittle, for that. And Travis Kelce. Now, wait a minute. I'm missing a couple of... Who the hell are the Chiefs receivers? Oh, yeah, whoever Pat throws the ball to. Advantage, Eagles.
Love it. Ben, what do you say?
Oh, yeah, it's Eagles. I mean, the thing is, yes, they got Pat Mahomes who's going to improvise, but that's how they getting open, because he's improvised. They're not just beating guys. Xavier Worthy is really, really fast in a straight line. Problem is, football, you got to go horizontal just as much as you got to go vertical. And unless they giving him, end and arounds, they were like, hey, man, who's the guy that broke the record of the combine? It's him, Xavier Worthy. But they ain't even doubling him. And I know DeAndre Hopkins is over there, but his best days are with Houston and Arizona and the Titans. He finally go to a winning team, and his legs don't work, right? Hollywood Brown, he need to drink.
And in some cases, nor of his hands.
I'm just saying, Hollywood Brown, he can't get open. Juju Smith-Schuster, ever since they told him he can't do TikTok, I don't know. I ain't seen him. I really ain't seen him. I think the thing is, one team has, A.J. Brown, who don't like no DB. Devonta Smith, who is about as silky smooth as it get, right? And then you got the guys on the milk carton. These milk carton receivers over there with Kansas City, they show them, so they missing most of the time. But they'll say, when people say, I forgot Juju played for this. Yeah, he played for Kansas City. So you got milk carton receivers and you got real receivers. I'm gonna go with the real ones over there in the green and white.
Call it.
I have got to use that one. Milk carton receipt. I got my first new term going into next year. I got my first new term going into next year with my milk carton receiver. Good grief.
Call it what
I
you
love
wanna.
it.
Receiver advantage for the Eagles. I'm with you fellas all day on that one. All right, let's go tight end position. Ben, go to you, the expert on tight ends. What do you say, my friend? Who's got the advantage here?
Listen, I will say this. It's obviously it's the GOAT. I love Shannon Sharp. I love Kellen Winslow Sr. I love I love Gronk. Travis Kelce has two things no one else has. He has Patrick Mahomes and he has Taylor Swift. No one else has it. He has it. Don't get mad at him, right? He just does. He does. He has two things no one has. I'm not a Swiftie, but but I will say this. Somebody said that Dallas did finally make it to the Super Bowl. Problem is his last name is Connor. So it is. So give me the Kansas City Chiefs with my boy Travis the Man Kelce, who I don't know who his stylist is, but he gonna have on something fresh and extra medium for the Super Bowl. So yeah, give me Travis Kelce. This is the easiest. If it was Travis versus Gronk, might be a little bit of a debate, but Travis yeah, man, he done snatched that. He done snatched that GOAT, and he's walking around with it until Taylor Swift says put that down. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Brian? You got any argument on that?
Dallas Goedert is studying this, and this. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to look over here. Travis Kelce just walks in and goes, capital K, Travis Kelce. Listen, what did Ben say a few moments ago? There's two things that Travis Kelce has that Dallas Goedert doesn't. Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift. I'll add a third thing, a bunch of fans. And I'll add one after that, a jump pass. Anybody see him do that at the University of Cincinnati? Number 87, look, the greatest tight end to wear number 87 is not Rob Gronkowski. It's Travis Kelce.
I like it.
Didn't Elvis Dumerville go to Cincinnati? Did he go to Cincinnati?
Who?
Elvis Dumerville.
I know who that is.
Yeah,
I think
You better be good. Listen, you better be good at football if you're a black man and your first name Elvis. You better be good at something.
you know what? If your first name is Elvis, if you're a black man and your first name is Elvis and you're playing football, you better have every advantage necessary on the position that you are playing, or it just wouldn't end
Be
right.
able to swivel your hips. I'm just saying.
Lead the touchdown dance or something. I'm
Yeah.
good. All right, let's get on to the next one. The O-line. What you guys think? Who's got the advantage? Prior to you, who's got the advantage on the O-line?
The Eagles are bullies. Move on.
Ben?
Yes, not only they bullies, they're the best singers in the league. So I mean, they got albums. It's the Eagles all day.
All right, let's go to the D-line then. Ben, what do you think? Who got the
Now
advantage
listen,
here?
now hold on, now look, now listen to me, okay? I know that Jalen Carter is the first team All-Pro defensive tackle in the league, but I looked at some stats. The hardest defensive tackle to block one-on-one is Chris Jones. You cannot block him one-on-one.
Trent Williams did.
Karlaftis.
I got him.
He did.
I got him.
I will give a slight edge to your Eagles for this reason right here.
Right.
Everybody wants to talk about Sweat. Everybody wants to talk about Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. The most consistent defensive lineman since the postseason started has been Nolan Smith. And nobody wants, had a sack in every game, making his presence felt. So I'm going to go with them boys in green and white, slightly over them boys, and ready to go.
Yeah, Brian, any argument?
The Eagles are bullies. Move on.
They are bullies. No doubt. They've been leading the charge defensively all year long. I agree with you both. Eagles all day. Linebacker position. What do you think, Brian? Who's got the advantage here?
The Eagles will hit you. Move on.
Ben, what do you think?
Listen, the fact that the best linebacker on the field was brought up for what he brings to special teams, and he's a first team All-Pro. Brian is a first team All-Pro. Why ain't nobody talking about that? Devin White got cut. That's how good the linebacker. They told Devin White, who was on the pivot, "Hey man, I want to start new," but you got cut. God dog. Nakobe Dean is hurt, and y'all still in the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's the Eagles.
All right, let's go. Let's go to the secondary. What do you think? Let's go to you, Ben. What do you think in the secondary? Who's got the advantage?
Let me tell you something. I think y'all got the best rookie cornerback in the league. He might be defensive rookie of the year, right? I think Darius Slade, he's the ageless wonder. He beating the hell out of Father Time. He beating the hell out of him right now. He got him in a chokehold, beating him up. And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson likes nobody in other colors. He don't like nobody. Sirianni told him, you have to like your teammates. They put in his contract. You have to like your teammates, Chauncey. Okay, I like them for the time being. I like McDuffie and those guys over to Kansas City. Let me tell you something. If they want to make this a track meet, I'm gonna favor them boys in green and white. Yeah, it's the Eagles all day.
Brian, what do you think?
It's going to be a track meet, and I'll trust the Eagles secondary all day long. All right.
Listen, Chauncey don't like people.
I know.
He doesn't know. Chauncey Gardner. You know how nervous. You got to be a hellraiser when you make Philadelphia media nervous. They scared to ask you questions. They're like, you ask it. Philadelphia media is scared of nobody. He's in the meeting room with a whole bunch of Italian journalists, and they scared to ask him questions.
That should tell you something right there. When the Philadelphia media is scared to ask CJ Gardner-Johnson any question, doesn't matter what subject it is.
When he hit you with what you say, nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything.
That'll be a note never to invite him on a podcast.
Same.
What you talking about? I would love to have Chauncey on, man. That's a former Florida Gator, man. Hey, man, he went to Florida. I went to Florida. I would love to have Chauncey on. But I'm gonna say, Chauncey, listen. I'm gonna say, man, are you still snatching people's mouthpieces? I want to know. I've never seen nobody get people riled up the way Chauncey does. I'm like, Chauncey, what are you saying? And he gonna hit me with, I ain't say nothing.
I gotta throw a reference from my favorite team in here. You know why? You know why CJ Gardner-Johnson is so mad and doesn't like people? Because in 2019, he got taken for a ride on a critical game by George Kittle for 30 yards. That's why.
Kittle, Kittle, he looking for you. He looking for you right now.
Still thinking about it. All right, let's go to the special teams. Who do you think, Bri, special teams got the advantage?
Do the Eagles have a special team?
Yeah, I'm about to say. I mean,
I rest
couldn't
my
say-
case.
Yeah, it's listen. Not only do Kansas City Chiefs got the best special teams. I mean, he makes speeches. I don't think he need to keep making speeches, but he makes speeches. You know, I'm just saying. Hey, man, listen. His wife told him, "Don't nobody want to hear that." Well, I'm gonna say it. All right, go ahead. I'm just saying. She told him not to say it. He gave her the speech the night before commission, and she said, "You gonna really say that? Hell yeah." And I took some stuff out. You took some, yeah. It was way longer than this. You know what I'm saying? She said, "Is this AI generated?" No, I wrote all this. In cursive.
I wrote every single word of this in cursive until you got me to print it.
Yeah. I had to print it out, and the printer machine, and the printer literally said, "You sure you want me to print this?" I said, "Yeah." Come on. 2 copies, just in case one get lost. I need 2.
3.
Laminated.
3. My wife needs to review this. 3.
His wife came up and said, "I'm gonna introduce my husband," and I had nothing to do with this. Ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying.
All right, let's finish things up. Let's get to the big question of the night or the morning, whatever you want to call it. Which team is going to win this matchup and why? Ben, tell me who wins.
The last time a dynasty got dethroned, it was known as the New England Patriots. There was a team that dethroned them. Who was that team? That was the Eagles. They dethroned the dynasty known as the New England Patriots. I think it's going to happen again. And it's going to happen in reverse. The last time Patrick Mahomes was in the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy was on the sideline. I had to watch him march down the field, throw the game with a touchdown pass, and the game was over. Well, this time, it's going to be 22-22, about 3 minutes left. Kansas City Chiefs got the ball. They get bogged down with that vaunted, secondary on like the 25-yard line. They have to kick a field goal. 25-22. Here comes Jalen. Here comes AJ. Here comes Devontae. Here comes Saquon. They march down the field. Everybody gets passes. Everybody gets featured. Saquon breaks. He gets caught at like the 2 with like 20-something seconds left. They just run the clock down. The greatest play in Philadelphia Super Bowl history right now is the Philly. Nick Foles, Trey Burton. Well, the greatest play in football is the tush push. I've never seen anything like it. Nobody can stop it. They're going to call a run play for Saquon. And Saquon going to say, no, Kellen. It should be Jalen. Why? Because they don't want him to win the super duper MVP. So Saquon said, I'm going to block for him. So he's going to block for him. They're going to score. Listen, and when he gets up, he's just going to stare at that defense. Right, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson gonna run on the field and get a penalty. He's just gonna run out there and hit somebody because that's what he does. And they're gonna win 28-25. And the Super Bowl MVP is gonna be Jalen Hurts. And instead of Jalen Hurts going up to Patrick Mahomes at the end of the game, he gonna go up to Carson Wentz and say, "Yo, Carson, this is how you do it, baby. You play the whole season and you still get in the playoffs." And Nick Foles gonna photobomb Tom Brady and go, "Hey, man, we find a way to get it down. Give me 28, 25. Andy Reid, you still one of the best, but Nick Sirianni gets to call Doug Peters and say, Doug, hey, man, I want to know what it's like to win that super duper. Them Eagles going to take and Kevin Hart and Mike Trout and Bradley Cooper and Will Smith. We go, and no more Swifties. The Swifties, she's going to put on a black jacket and walk the hell out of there. Give me the Eagles 28-25.
Brian, what do you think? Who wins it? They got real specific.
Can I stop crying from laughter now? Okay, this is the only time where Ben and I disagree because this game is going to be a track meet. We broke down every position possible. But there's a fellow named Patrick Mahomes.
It is.
Who can, when I look at Patrick Mahomes, I see bits of Steve Young. The improvisation is off the charts. And I love you, Jalen Hurts, But because Patrick Mahomes can flip a blinded pass behind his back,
and he's allowed to do it. I'm sorry, he's not allowed to do it, Brian. But what Andy Reid gonna say? What am I gonna say? He can't.
Andy Reid can't say a thing. The same reason George Seifert many moons ago couldn't say a thing with Stevie Young. Nah, this is gonna be the highest scoring Super Bowl, I think, in history. It's gonna go an extra period. My wife's going to bring me an extra snack or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, or if this is after the ones I have. This is after the ones I go get myself just because I want to sample. Chiefs 44, Eagles 41.
Oh my!
Wow.
Could we handle that? Could we handle a Super Bowl overtime game?
I had to do it last year.
I like it.
I had to do it last year.
I mean, I want it.
I had to do it. Listen, Ben, I wore my voice out last year. Okay, I wore my voice. How did Vince Scully pull it? How did Vince Scully put it? The late great Vince Scully. I yelled myself weak, and by the time it got to overtime, even though my 49ers were playing, I didn't care who won. I just wanted to see an exciting finish, and we got that. It's going to go like this. Jalen Hurts, okay, it'll be 38 apiece, okay, because no one can stop anybody else. It'll be 38 apiece. Eagles drive down. They get stopped. Chris Jones makes a play. They get a field goal, 41-38. They pin the Chiefs back at the 2-yard line. And, of course, I'm being totally facetious because we don't know what's going to happen on Sunday. They pin the Chiefs back at the 2-yard line. The drive starts with a trick play. The drive starts with it. And Ben, you know this to be true watching Patrick Mahomes. The drive starts with a trick play on their own 2-yard line. Like a between-the-legs shovel pass or something. That's a quick 20 yards. Then you find Xavier Worthy, who couldn't haul in a pass all game. That's another 20 yards. And then you get DeAndre Hopkins to get you to midfield and beyond. All right. Couple of runs. Eagles spend their timeout. Sirianni calls a bad defense. And I love you, Nick Sirianni, but I'm just saying the way I'm looking at it. Mahomes gets it done. But it'll go, instead of last year with 3 seconds remaining, this time it'll occur with a second remaining. It'll really come down to the wire. And Ben's looking at me like, do you really want to put me through this?
No. It's not so much if that happens. It's these announcers. They'll say, "Oh my God, listen, I saw Pat Mahomes in the freaking hotel lobby, and he was like, had something on his face and he rubbed it off. Like I saw he rubbed it off his face. I said, dude, the way he rubbed, and then he said, hey, can I get some water? Somebody brought it to him, and he unscrewed it. Unscrewed the top and drunk the water. What? Unscrewed it, drunk the water, wiped his mouth, screwed it back on and walked off. I said, never seen nobody drink water like that in my 30 years of doing. Because you know how it is, Coop. Commissioner, I get so sick of everything. Patrick Mahomes makes mistakes. He has a mohawk. Like I'm just saying.
And it was glistening off the sun.
The only person that has a mohawk other than Patrick Mahomes is the starting quarterback for Nebraska.
Is that a mohawk? No, I don't even know what that is. It's like a mullet.
No. You remember about listen?
It's like a mullet.
About 2 years ago, when everybody had the mohawk, two people started hair themes in the NFL. That would be Patrick Mahomes with the mohawk. Who did it get started with? That would be Odell Beckham Jr. with the blonde hair. He got in the fight with Peroxide and he lost. Then everybody else was doing it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm gonna keep on. You know, like who goes in and said, "Yeah, man, let me get that Odell Beckham." You want the one-handed catch? No, I want the blonde hair. You sure? Yeah.
Ben's Comedy Hour.
No, I'm just saying.
Coming up on Netflix.
Listen. I love Patrick Mahomes. I don't want no smoke, but he has a mohawk, and we act like he don't got one. He does. You know,
I don't act like he doesn't. I don't act like he doesn't have one. I see it every time I call a game. I know. I've seen it. All right.
If Jared Goff had a mohawk, we would say something. If Baker Mayfield had a mohawk, if Jameis Winston had a mohawk, we're gonna say whatever.
If Jameis Winston threw the ball correctly, we'd say something. Oh, did I say that aloud? If
All
Jameis
right,
Winston didn't make as many turnovers as he did in his turnover factory, we'd say something.
Yes, we would indeed. Listen, I want to just say, like I said, go check out Ben's Troops comedy tour coming up on Netflix. It'll be premiering next month. I'm excited.
It'll be premiering the minute after the Super Bowl ends.
I'm just saying, man. At the end of the day, if people start
And
putting
he's gonna have
with Kansas City Chiefs receivers on it, I'm gonna lose my mind. and yes, it's gonna be skim or non-fact. It will not be vitamin D. It will not be 100%. It's gonna be like 2%.
So I'm gonna disagree a little bit with you guys on like score wise. I think both these defenses are pretty good. So I'm gonna go 28-20 Eagles. I think it'll be a little less high scoring than I think we hope it'll be, because these defenses are
the first one to 50. The first one to 50 wins the game.
I don't think they're getting there, bro. I don't think
you want to institute a new rule in the Super Bowl for this game and this game only, because I doubt if it gets repeated. First one to 50 wins the game.
Like a backyard game.
Like a backyard game. First one.
Like that.
Usually it's first one to 10 or something like that. No, you got Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, whose teams can put up 600 yards in a game, easy. Okay, Saquon Barkley can do it. Saquon Barkley is a shorter version of Roger Craig. He'll run around you. He'll run through you. Okay,
this is the 49ers podcast.
You're Don Tootin' it is.
He's the if I got to give a favorite San Francisco, 49ers running back, Ricky Watters, baby.
Roger Craig preceded him.
Ricky Watters is the greatest Seahawk of all time, because when he was
not
for what he did, but for what he said. They threw him a pass. He didn't stick his hands out, and then when they went to the post game, they said, "Ricky, why don't you try to catch a pass?" He said, "Quote, for who? For what?" When he said, I said, "What? For who? For what?"
What?
For who? It was like this. Back to you, Billy.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. All right. Well, listen.
In case you're joining us late,
it's been a great Super Bowl special. Want to thank, of course, my bro Ben Troop. Thank you so much for joining us today, and my co-host Brian. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and presenting our Super Bowl special. It's been a cool tradition of ours for the last couple of years, and I hope we continue to make it a tradition of yours. Thank you all so much. We appreciate you for watching, and we are out.